To another Ultimate Battle event brought to you by StarCastTV. I am, of course, Nyoken and joined by Scan. This time around, we've got Sharp versus Action, so it's going to be a Terran versus Zerg. Scan, what do you think about today's particular match?
Well, first of all, we have to look at what other the maps they are going to be played on. We know we have seen all those cool maps and some old map as well. Of course, we're going to be seeing those 7 maps from the ASL Season 12, and 2 other maps will be selected by the those 2 players. Sharp and Action will be choosing. In the way of I cannot even pronounce. In the way of an Eddie, and Action will be choosing Gladiator. Interesting.
Yeah, so last time I was here, we saw Ground Zero get picked by Soma, and I mentioned that actually Ground Zero and Gladiator were the 2 maps that I really liked. Now I am super happy to see Gladiator because Action is somebody that once it goes to late game, I don't know if he's actually touchable by Terran players because his macro is just ballistic, and Gladiator is one of those maps where there's a real chance if it gets split map, this Zerg could have like 8 bases, so it would be really fantastic to just see a top Zerg player macroing on all those bases and just flooding at our Terran player. Now, of course, we see Sharp here. He picked In the Way of an Eddie. I also really like this map. And of course, you mentioned that we've got the ASL maps, and because this is Ultimate Battle event, nobody can. We're gonna see all the ASL maps played plus these 2 other maps. So we're actually gonna get some a lemon game too. So this is super exciting. Looks like game 1 is already ready. So let's get into it. It's gonna be on Largo, Sharp versus Action. So in the top left, our Zerg player, it is Action. And in the bottom left, in the purple, it is Sharp. So we saw both of these players in the ASL earlier, and they've already bombed out. It was a bit disappointing for Sharp in particular because nothing went his way, ended up being eliminated by Noob. And then Action, he put up a better fight, but the one game that did stand out to me was his game versus Leda, where it seemed pretty even. You remember he had that muta switch. He had the muta switch, and it just cost him so much gas that he couldn't actually overwhelm the Terran player. So I'm sure he's thinking about that game, making sure that doesn't happen again. Now, our first map is Largo. How does this play out?
Well, on Largo, I heard a lot of Zerg players do not like to play on this map because, you know, all those how should I say, like the triangle shape of like the race advantage against someone. Like Terran is favorite playing against Zerg, and Protoss is favorite playing against Terran, and Zerg is favorite playing against Protoss, and it's kind of like a triangle shape whenever you play on Largo because there's not much of an overlord placement to put your overlord to see all this vision where the M&M is coming out from. And we see, I guess, both of the players will be looking forward to play the standard so far.
Yeah, we do see that Overlord is going to get the first scout off and overlook that ledge. And I'm glad you mentioned the vision or the lack of vision on this map because we saw lately in ASL that there's been a lot of small Marine task force moving out on the map. Like, I remember, was it Light? He moved out with like 6 Marines, and then another game he moved out with like 10 Marines that went unscouted and punished the Zerg player pretty hard. So we'll see if that will come into play here. Now, we see that actually Sharp is going to get lucky here, and he is going to find Action at the top left, and this is going to be the typical opener: 12 hatch, 11 pool, 10 gas.
And interestingly, Action did not go for the scout yet. He just saw the scouting SCV was coming on time, and Action is natural, so he pulled out one of the drones to start doing this the drone micro, chasing all those SCV and already lowered down the HP all the way to 35, and this is pretty much hurting Sharps a lot because he wants to check whether Zerg is going for their attack first or speeding first. It is important to save this scouting SCV as long as he can to get all this intel before he start building all those 2 racks and or like a refinery and building the academy. You get to see this is a 15 command center into a depot at the natural.
Yep, and this is exactly what you want to do. You want to have that SimCity outside of your naturals. It's a great depot placement. Sharp's marine count is going to be extremely low because he went for the 15cc and then ended up going into a second Rax instantly. So he has absolutely nothing right now. And because this SCV has been pushed back, yeah, he does have to be careful. Oh, there it is. There is speed. So Scan, this game might already be over if we see like 12 Lings just attack in the next couple seconds. Oh my gosh, even more Lings at the natural.
Yeah, so right now we are seeing Sharp is immediately sending out the second scouting SCV, but the Zergling is already moving out. He does get to see this, some of the Zerglings are moving towards the left side, but he didn't get to see how many Zerglings were actually moving out. Okay, actually this is a good thing that Sharp is already building a bunker, pulling some SCV to the natural, but I'm not sure the speeding is going to be completed soon.
Yeah, it's going to finish soon. I like how Action's only showing 3 because the SCV hasn't come in and scouted yet, so he doesn't know exactly how much this is. I think this is just going to be a run by, and there's no way that he can react in time. If he manages to clog this ramp and stop this, I'd be extremely surprised. Here come those Lings, and you can see that Sharp, oh my god, he did get in position. That's an amazing surround, and this bunker may actually be able to hold this. One Ling sneaks in. That's amazing reaction. I am so shocked that only one Ling got in there. Now we see that Action's coming out in with even more. Here he goes again, round 2, another great defense.
Yeah, the reinforcement just came out from those double barracks and start having all those barricade at the ramp side, and now he also knows more Zerglings were coming out from the natural with the second SCV scouting intel is giving him a lot of information whether more Zergling is incoming, and Sharp seems so desperate that he really wants to break this ramp, but I think this is over committing.
Yeah, look at that drone count, 11 to 23 SCVs. The Spires maybe like 20 to 30% done, but it's not going to matter if you can't build any Mutalisks, and he's still building Lings. I guess at this point you've built so many, you might as well continue to commit, and maybe Sharp will overextend without stem or something, and you can catch these units off guard. But yeah, Action is in a terrible position. We see that stem is halfway done, so that scenario I talked about probably isn't going to happen. Ling's trying to draw units out of position, but the first medic is already out, and that's going to help so much, and even the first fire bat.
Or maybe Action is trying to wait until Sharp is moving out, but we see him just made a single medic and a fire bat. We heard there's a scan going off. He just scanned the natural and see how many drones they are, and even if he and making sure whether Action has the second guess or whatnot. And the tip of the scanner, he also gets to see more Zerglings were coming out. So absolutely Sharp he doesn't even need to move out right now.
Yeah, so he's just going to sit there, be content with it, with his economic lead and army advantage when it's in a defensive posture. Now back in his main, I think his eBay's done. Yeah, turrets are going up.
Look at that drone count at the main base.
As a Terran player, if I see this, okay, well here we go. This is the Hail Mary for Action. Look at that fire bat and medic placement, nicely done from Sharp, and he's going to easily take game 1.
That was I mean, that was a great mind game by Action, but Sharp was on point of defending those early stage of 8 lane speed run by, like defending with the SCV drill, and that was so lucky, I would say. I mean, sometimes like if you just miss a half a second, then all those link just goes inside of your base and start harassing you a lot and start delaying all of your academy timing and so on, and it really hurts Sharp a lot in that kind of scenario.
Yeah, seriously, it was actually like half a second. The fact that he was even able to get close to the ramp is surprising, because I honestly, I don't think I've ever been able to pull my SCVs in time without having some preemptive knowledge that an attack is coming. So that was absolutely insane reactions from Sharp, and unfortunately, Action just starts the series down 0-1 so quickly. And we don't even get to see his form today, so hopefully it's not one of those days where it's just all in, over and over. I don't think we're going to see that, but you never know. Some players just get in that mode. And we should be going into game 2. Second map is going to be Eclipse. So if we're ready, let's get into it. Alrighty, in the top right, winning the game 1 with impeccable defense. It is Sharp. And then in the bottom left are Blue Zerg. It is Action. Yeah, so this map, I really want to see how Action's going to play this map, because we just saw him in ASL versus Leda, and unfortunately, his build just did not go according to plan. Now, Sharp, he's got the top right position. Both positions are wallable. I guess we could potentially see another Ling Flood through that small gap, but unlikely.
I heard whenever Zerg spawns at the bottom left and opponent is whether at the top side or right side of it. Whenever Zerg is doing the Mira micro from the left side, they always do those splash damage much better than the other angles, and you can actually pick up more Marines than the other, more Marines than the hitting from the other direction. So I would say Action is slightly happy to spawn at the bottom left side, but we see he decided to go for 9 pull.
Yeah, this is going to be another aggressive opener, and as I mentioned, this map is one of the maps where you can wall the low ground. This time around, no low ground wall, so that's not going to be a factor. And we are just going to have the standard Rax opener. It's interesting to hear you say that mutas deal more damage from their left side. I didn't know that. But what I do notice when I play this map, or from this position in particular, is whenever I come down my ramp and mutas are at my natural, it feels like it's just so hard to get all my units down the ramp, and mutas kill everything. So I'll keep that in mind next time I'm at top right.
So we get to see Action cancel the extractor to have one more drone and start morphing all those 6 Zergling. And Sharp is about to confirm Action's natural very soon, and if he doesn't get to see no hatchery at the natural, he should be immediately knowing, oh, this has to be the pull first. Ooh, interestingly, he's going for the eBay rush.
Yep, eBay gonna be blocking this, and it's gonna be a bit annoying. It not only buys time, but may be able to save his SV now because of it. And actually, Action is gonna pull off 2 Lings here. So this is going to be a great opener from Sharp. He does need to cancel it though. There it is. Meanwhile, he just goes in for a secondary scout and confirms that there's no gas. And is that a drone going to mid left?
Yes,
it
definitely.
is.
So this is most likely we're gonna be seeing some type of a 3 hatch opening, but 3 hatch, another expansion like 3 base playstyle where you do it against products, Zerg versus products. You do that so often, and you can also do it as against the Terran as well. Whenever opponent is playing standard opening like a Rex expand like this, and Sharp is right now putting down the second command center at the main base, and I guess the scouting STV just got picked up by the Zergling, so I think it's just right now it's a 50-50.
Yeah, it did get picked off, and I'm unsure if Sharp is aware that this is a 3rd hatch on location, because SCV died at around like the 230 mark, so it could have just been some like 2.5 hatch style opener. Now, I feel like we saw this opener in ASL. Was it Light versus somebody? And I think they ended up going for +1 weapon rush.
I think it was Rush versus Soki, where Soki has gone for the 12 point into 3 hatcher like this on at 1 o'clock position. Maybe it might be that game.
Yeah, so this time, or when we saw that game, we were both talking about how Marine Medic push could be a good timing, potentially forcing Sunkens at both bases, but Light ended up not going for that. But this time around, we do see that this is a 2 Rax follow-up. I'm assuming that the Academy has started in the main for Sharp because it's the 4-minute mark. Okay, now it just started, so a little bit slow, but I think it's still an okay timing. Command center's done. We're going to be floating it down to the natural.
Scouting SCB wanted to go for confirm whether what Action is exactly doing, making more Zergling or making more drones for macro type of a scenario game, and we see he seems insecure. I guess he's just trying to not get all in Zergling, having all this Marine standing in the ramp. Okay, now he should be feeling confident, or maybe not yet, maybe because he didn't get to see the additional 5 Zerglings that right now Action has. Oh, here's another second SCV scout was coming to Action's natural.
Yep, and we do see that the SV gets in and sees the Sunken and saw that there's no speed. Now the Spire starts, and this Spire is extremely slow. 5-minute Spire. A lot of times with, well, I guess 3 hatch, this is a somewhat normal timing, but it seems just so slow because I see so many 2 hatch games. Now meanwhile, Sunken going down at the 3rd base too, making sure that Marine Medic Push can't attack there. Now, what do you think the follow-up is going to be from Action? Right? Is it going to be Mass Muta? Are we going to see an Evolution Chamber come down and go into Crazy Zerg?
Well, from what I see how Action is right now playing, okay. Well, first of all, we gotta be looking at this 5 Zergling sneaking inside of Sharp's main base. This will try to buy some time and delay that eBay as much as it can, but I don't think the Steam Pack is ready. Okay, Steam Pack is gonna be finished very soon, like momentarily. And we see more Zerglings are trying to go for another backstab and adding. Ooh, what is this? He's adding more Zergling at the natural, sitting on here. He did scan. He did scan the natural and confirm there is no second extractor. This is giving a big intel that Zerg is on a low gas.
Yeah, this is very weird to not see any gas at the natural. I wonder what Sharp is thinking in response to this. Now, meanwhile, I saw a stim go to mid-left. It looks like it was denied. And these Lings are doing work, forcing out a lot of Marines that are also just instantly getting picked off. 2 Lings may be able to take down that SCV-2. And more Lings are going into the natural right now.
This multitasking is absolutely looking great for Action. I mean, Sharp's most of the Marine Medic force is pretty much out of place and making more fire bets from the 2 barracks, and now this is going to cost him a lot, like not having much of a Marine count in order to stop those murderless harassment in the mid game.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, this is hurting him too much, I would say.
Yeah, and he's building Lings from his 3rd hatch too, so those Lings are getting out so easily. And now in the natural, there's like 15 Lings ransacking not only the SCVs, but also the bunker. You can see that Sharp wants to get into that bunker, but I'm not sure if he's going to make it in. One of the fire bats gets taken down. Actually, the Marines that were across the map had to come back because there's so many Lings out.
If Sharp was able to defend this nicely and clean, he could have had that more SCV, and also started his factory a long time ago. And just by looking at the worker count, I think this is super good for Action because he invested so much of a Zergling to harass Sharp as much as he can, and most of the SCVs are having, okay, maybe some of the SCVs have full HP too, but now here the mutants are coming out and we see Action is immediately taking double extractor.
Yeah, and I see a building went up in his main too for Action, and that is the Evolution Chamber. So we are going to see some fast upgrades. Well, we're going to see upgrades, but they're not exactly super fast, so I'm not too sure how well or how much this will come into play. But that eBay was denied for so long that actually the +1 weapon timing... Oh, never mind. +1 weapon's almost done by the time that Evolution Chamber completes.
Well, normal time about 2 racks Academy into eBay, you got those +1 attack around like 8 minutes, 10 seconds, 20 second-ish. But I guess it's still relatively fast when we compare it to Action's Armor one with Carapace. And we just heard the skin going off. You just scan the natural and see there are 4 drones are mining the natural.
So not big econ for our Zerg player just yet, but worker count is still 36 to 29, so it's still pretty darn good for Zerg. Now, meanwhile, Muta's coming in from that left angle, as you mentioned. I'm going to keep my eyes locked to see how many Marines die.
Yeah, I just saw those, the Marine blood, like it picked off 2, like 8 Marines just picked off 2.
There's one, but kills a Muta in response. We do know that Sharp's factory is already done, so starports are going to be coming down. Second gas going down also. Ooh, not going to be double starport this time around. It's going to be tank.
Yeah, it is going to be the tank follow-up for Sharp. 1 factory, 1 port. So most likely it is going to be a 3 tank with a single science pistol timing attack. And he did confirm there's an evolution chamber at the main base with the Queen's Nest follow-up, but I'm not sure whether he has able to confirm the second evolution chamber was going up. And still no Hydra Den by Action.
Yeah, seems like Action is just going to rely on pure Muta and Lings to hold this attack. I think that might backfire. Irradiate is not going to care about these Mutas. Now here comes some Muta Micro into the natural. Not the best, honestly. He loses like 2 or 3 Mutas for just a single turret, and he didn't even kill any of the Marines there. He gets the secondary turret, but he needs to start cleaning up some of these Marines. There we go. He gets 2, 4, and some SCVs. Okay, now they're racking up, but he loses another Mutalisk.
Yeah, this is hurting Sharp a lot, I would say, because those missile turret placement, it just makes all this Marine and Medic and even the CVs getting stuck in between of the mineral lines, and now he's just having a big trouble mining at the natural, and now Action is pretty much going to be abusing this terrain, picking up more Marines, and look at the worker count. Remember, like, Action was super low with the drone count, and now he has more drone than Sharp.
Yeah, now it's 42 drones for Action. I mean, as a Terran player, it pains me to see this, because this is exactly what happens to me, is turrets die, Marine Medic just wander off into no man's land and get picked off instantly. But at the same time, I'm happy to see this, because I'm thinking, okay, it's not just me. Even top players can lose their entire SCV line. Now, meanwhile, +1 armor is going to finish, and there is the Ultra Cavern. Look at this scan, top left. Oh man, if that kicks in, that's going to be a lot of Ultras.
I'm also looking at the upgrade timing. I mean, Sharp should know this is a crazy Zerg opening by Action, and Sharp is just going to be staying in with only a single eBay, and we see he's not rushing for getting those +2 type upgrade, and he's just going to be moving out. I guess he's tired of defending this Mutalisk harassment at the natural, and just going to be ignoring his natural. This kind of reminds me of some of this game. Was this Royal versus Soma on Ground Zero?
Yeah, Soma just consistently harassed that base over and over and over, and the tank push with non-stop rallied reinforcements ended up securing the victory for Royal just barely by the skin of his teeth. And look at this, Duncan man in full force at the natural. He knows he just has to buy time, but at the same time, I mean, Ultras are not exactly the cheapest. This is a lot of resources.
Yeah, Ultras, the armor, additional bonus +2 armor is on the way for Action, and Action does need more time to buy some time, and these two tanks are pretty much doing some nice damage still to those sunken line, and more reinforcement. And Action right now he needs to be working on cutting off this reinforcement, and also snipe the third tank. If he does not able to snipe this third tank is actually gonna speed up for Sharp to break this natural.
Yeah, and what I want to point out is those first tanks that were shooting, they were shooting the back sunken so that they could get maximum amount of damage splashing the ones in front of them. Now, that vessel has been out for a while, may actually have a second irradiate. Okay, no, 30 more seconds. But mutas, oh, there's the vessel that I was waiting for, and here we go. More mutas are being pumped out. That means it's not Ultras. That's a great irradiate, but here comes Sharp. But the Marine count looks like it may just barely be enough.
Here we are right now hearing a couple scans going off here and there. I think Sharp is trying to confirm whether the Ultras are out yet or whatnot. And all those I guess the 1-1 upgrade with the siege tank timing is working well for Sharp, but I mean the Marine count is slowly getting lower and lower, but at the same time Action is losing all of his Mutalisk, and Action cannot hold up.
Are you kidding? He just barely holds on, and in a repeat of that Soma versus Royal game, Sharp ends up stealing a victory from our Zerg player.
That's pretty shocking to me. I thought Sharp was going to easily win this game. I mean, Action was easily going to win this game, but this timing attack with the 2 tank, with the single science vessel, I can't really recall what the mistake was by Action. Action was super ahead in this game.
Yeah, I also don't know exactly where it went wrong. What I was going to ask, though, is when you know as a Terran player has this option, what do you think about potentially getting a greater Spire? Like, whether you use it or not, I mean, it's not exactly that expensive, but if Action had something like 5 Guardians, I mean, there's no answer to that. He only had 2 vessels.
Well, something that the common stuff that I'm right now seeing is Soma was overly making drones against Royal on Ground Zero, and we saw Action had a lot of drones in that game. So maybe he could have saved that making less drone and try to make more of units, like army units, and try to eat up all the Marine Medic and siege tank timing, buying some time in the middle of the map. And remember, like, Sharp was moving out without having any delay.
Yeah, I mean, nothing kept the Marines back. The Mutos were microing over the SCV line. That is true. I also was thinking about the hatchery at top left. Didn't help him at all. I mean, we're all just watching from you know, spectator view, so we see exactly what's going on. Action doesn't have that information, of course, so you can't fault him for making those moves. He was in a massive advantage, but Sharp ends up stealing the victory, and he's up 2-0 already in this series. So now we're going to be going into Game 3. Our game is ready. It's going to be on a Revolver. Right in the top left, just barely not being able to hold that timing attack. It is Action. And in the bottom right, man, did he clutch that game. Our Terran player, it is Sharp. So we've got Revolver here. And tell us a little about TvZ on Revolver, because this is now a new map in the ladder pool, and I'm sure a lot of players are looking for tactics that they can pull out.
I would say the Revolver, if you ever spawn to like let's say a vertical matchup like 5 o'clock versus 1 o'clock, the rush distance is really short. From natural to the natural is really short, that if you start with the ARAX opening, like how Royal was showing on ASL round of 16 against Hero, like he did a mid ARAX, Proxy ARAX pretty much hurt Hero so much with the ARAX marine pressure, and he did lose a lot of drone that time. But I guess Sharp is not interested of playing any kinds of cheesy build in the beginning of the stage. He will be putting on the depot at the main. And Action, he started with the 9-pole last game, and I guess he's not interested of going for 9-pole this game because it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, so it may be time to just play a standard game, because we've seen 2 aggressive openers from him. And so far they have not worked out for him. I mean, second game was going fine, just in the end ended up still losing. Now, something that I was thinking about when I was thinking about Sharp is he's not a mech player ever, right? Like, I don't think I've ever seen him play mech at all.
No,
like,
not at all.
He's just always bio.
Yeah, he likes to play bio. He's kind of like a standard player without having the best optimization. Like every time when all those green players were watching how Sharp is playing, like his optimization is really poor, but somehow he just makes all those comeback by all those unit movements and having all those interesting spider mine placement, like picking up all those Protoss army here and there, and just pretty much triggers best like Bisu, all those top Protoss players to lose against Sharp.
That is something that I also noticed when I watch Sharp, is there are times where I'm watching him, I'm like, man, he's killing it right now. But then there are other games that are not so great, and I see like he's queuing like 4 Marines on like 3 barracks. I'm like, man, what's going on? So I'm glad that you also noticed that too. Ooh, we've got a 3rd hatch in our main. So this is very cool, because you know, for the past year and a half, we've been seeing almost exclusively 2 hatch openers. But now I'm seeing Action going for a 3 hatch again, and in ASL we've seen it a couple times too.
Yeah, I think all those Berserk players are somewhat getting, I guess, the build counter by Terran. Like Terran players are always getting to play against those 2 hatch metas playstyle all the time, and more than a year, and they probably got used to it, and they started to figure out what the counter it is against those 2 hatch meta playstyle. And I guess that could be one of their. I guess the map also does affect the Berserk playstyle as well, but I think it's just most likely, I would say, the Terran players just became better with the optimization.
That could be the case, and this is exactly what I was expecting to see. It's going to be fast +1, which means more than likely this is going to be 5 racks opener. Terran players have already known what the best counter to 3 hatch is, and that is the 5 racks with +1. But because you don't see 3 hatch that often, the execution may not be as good as it was a couple years ago, and we do see the Academy follow-up at around 4 minutes, so this is pretty much just the standard way to play the 5 racks. That's a low SCV count at the natural. As you mentioned, the optimization not ideal.
Yeah, it's something very interesting every time. A lot of Terran players are watching Sharp. Even other races, like they don't play Terran, but when they look at how Sharp is playing, what is this? I don't get this build order. but somehow he just always makes it into ASL. Definitely a strong mechanics, even though his build order is not optimized well.
Yeah, one thing that Sharp does do well is, as you mentioned, his multitask is crazy. He's got like 400 APM, he's all over the place. But speaking of APM, see actions at 500. That guy's also a maniac. Now we do have Spire coming down, typical timing for the 3 hatch. We haven't, okay, there's the third Rex. I was going to say, we haven't seen the Barracks Flood, but there's the third one. Second one at the natural, that's cute to wall off the entrance. Now, did we see a drone get sent out? I don't think so. So, no third base coming up just yet.
Yeah, the interesting about this map is that you have the high ground advantage, and with all those the Zerg Ag is blocking all those paths that early stage of the game, like the cheese is not gonna be working so well. Like if you block one of the other entrance, like let's say you block the left side with the one depot with the single barracks, Zerglings cannot do anything. And also from the high ground ramp here, putting a single SCV on a high ground and having those marine line, I mean Zerglings can't actually break this. And we see Sharp made a fire bet. I guess he'll be moved out.
Well, this is a very tiny move out, and Muta's, he still has a decent amount of time to go look for like a third base, like a close position base at top right, for example. But I mean, the Marine count, look at it, it's 7, it's non-existent pretty much. Now, again, there's no drone out in the map right now. It looked like that drone was building something at the top right of his base. It's got to be Hydrogen, right? Yeah, there it is. This is interesting because I was really expecting to see a third hatch by now, or at least a hidden drone, but it just doesn't exist. And this is not a 5 racks. This is actually 4 racks with a really darn fast factory.
This is a very interesting of how Action is right now playing. I mean, we haven't gotten to see those, what is it, like 2010 of a classic 3 hatch versus like +1 4 racks, +1 5 racks build. Like making a 9 middles into a Hydrodan. We haven't gotten to see this build order, for like how many years? Maybe 3 years by now? When was the last time we have seen this build?
I don't know. I'm thinking about, like, I don't know what to think of this, because I was expecting to see Evolution Chamber with it, but we don't see it. Now here come those Mutas. Does not kill the turret. Instant reaction from Sharp there to repair it. I mean, what are you thinking? Because this feels like an all-in, but if I'm all-inning, I think I need to have +1 armor, right? To support the Lings and Lurkers, but there's no Evolution Chamber.
It is interestingly, Action is not doing much of a Muta micro. He wasn't really picking up Marine, nor even SCV here, but I think he's probably found a sweet spot once again here. And this missile turret placement doesn't seem that great for Sharp to defend the natural once again, just like Eclipse.
Yeah, and you know, Revolver's new, so I haven't played that many games on it, but it looks like that could be a base that could be easily defendable with turrets, but so far not the case for Sharp. Now Sharp's moving out because he's expecting there to be a base, and unfortunately for him, it's not at top right, it is at bottom left. He scans at top middle, not there either, so really the only base it could be is bottom left in this scenario, but he's still moving to the top side of the map. In Action, I think he has like 4 Sunkens at his natural, so he's tight there. Meanwhile, more harassment at the natural, and Lurkers are being set up, so this base is going to be defendable for Action.
I think Sharp just pretty much misplaced all of his missile turret and now losing all those mining time and losing all those SCV count at the natural. And this M&M is just pretty much struggling. Where's your third expansion? And he did take the expansion at the bottom left side, but it's just now too late to go for the harassment and now losing more SCV. And Action is just gonna be diving into the main base and also delaying that starport.
Yeah, this is one of those feel bad moments for Terran where it's like, well, I got a lot of units, they're out in the map, but I know it's too late to actually kill a base because I know Lurkers are set up. I see that there's 4 Sunkens at the natural. There's Mutas in my main or natural denying my SCV line. It's just like, man, I was completely out of position this game, and it's all falling apart. Now, the vessel timing looked like it was to be pretty fast, but denial onto the starport was great. You can see that the add-ons just now going down for the second starport when Irradiate is almost already done.
So we got to see all those Action is trying to defend defend his bases, a natural and a third expansion with massive amounts of lurker. And he's probably gonna be stacking all this lurker later anyways. And now these Mutalisks are picking up more of a SCV. I think he's trying to force Sharp to use those first vessel to use the Irradiate on the Mutalisks, and he won't be having enough energy to use the Irradiate on the when the single defiler comes out from the main base.
Yeah, I mean, Action doesn't even really care about these units anymore. He's got his hive, he's got his almost 50 drones, he's got his third base, he's got lurkers set up. I mean, as long as a couple Mutalisks survive for Plague later, that's all he needs. And that is a lot of drones at the net.
I would say this is gross. Like, I mean, I feel like there's like almost 2 groups of drone at the natural, and now once those Nidus connects to the bottom left, he's just gonna be immediately transferring what, maybe 12 drone, even more 12 drone, 13 drone.
Yeah, and he has a macro hatch in his main, a macro hatch at his third base, and he knows vessels were coming out, so dropships not on the menu, at least for a little bit. So he's in, oh, as I say that, of course, there are drops moving to the center of the map, but Action's been playing pretty defensive. Oh, there's a drop at bottom left too, and there we go. He does find a slight opener, but no medic here means that the Marines are going to go bye-bye.
Yeah, those Mutalisks will try to kill all those Marine, but I'm not sure if he has seen that second dropship was coming. Oh, it's a double dropship. Has loaded at 7 units, 3 medic with 4 Marine, 5 Marine, loading up more. Okay, I think he's about to go for the drop, but does Action get to see those 2 dropship movement? I guess not.
Oh my gosh, just barely out of vision, but Action, of course, aware of the drops, has Lings and Scourge in position, and now that he sees the units at the top middle and kind of in an awkward spot, he knows that probably there's dropships on the way. Now, I saw double evolution chamber, but I haven't seen Ultralisk Cavern just yet, I don't think. You see that Adrenaline is almost done, and okay, there's the Ultra Cavern, halfway done. Ooh!
So the dropship will be just going for the bust at the 7 o'clock natural, but those nice 2 Darkstorm. Okay, he did pick up the hatchery, so that is definitely nice for Sharp. And Sharp needs to focus on putting all of his M&M together here, not losing those Marine to those lurkers. All those Marine gets picked up, but I guess it's a somewhat equal trade, I would say.
Yeah, he ended up killing the hatchery, and that dropship got to bottom left quite quickly and sneakily through the shadows of the map, but good defense from Action. If I was a Terran player, I would not have expected to see lurkers positioned how they were. Now we see an armory coming up, so in the old days you would think, okay, maybe this is going to be a mech switch, but these days we know that that's got to be for BC upgrades to nullify the +1 armor on the mutas. Now we see Sharp is also taking mid-right position, but Action's going to be on 4 base pretty soon.
Yeah, Action has been saturating those 3 base for a long time, and now he's gonna be having all those macro hatchery up. And macro hatchery is gonna be finished very soon. And those Zerglings will be buying some time, eating up all those Marine nicely at the center of the map. And I think Action is just gonna be starting to have those the macro power by now, and start gonna go for the harassment. Like all those Zerglings will be everywhere, start harassing Terran's 3rd base, 4th base, and everywhere. And now there are a couple of lurkers with maybe a single defiler using the Darkstorm try to buy some time. And this is really hard to break as Terran. Like it's a high ground, and also the Zerg egg is also blocking the path, and you can't really kill the Zerg egg with a Marine.
Yeah, and of course we got the Dark Swarm and lurkers already set up, and there is a small Ling attack to mid-right. Doesn't... okay, Sharp not paying attention now. The Lings might start racking up some SCV kills, but this is going to be the true test of Terran, because 4th base is going to start kicking in the next couple minutes, and we actually see Action taking a 5th base at top middle. Now that was a little bit of an overextension there with the lurkers. He still needs to wait for his econ to kick in, but that macro power that you talked about, what is that, 8 hatches I see?
Well, there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yes, that is total 8. And I think all those lurkers have been moving from top side to the bottom side and bottom side to the top side. And now Action is starting to lose all those lurker count by getting all those irradiated by the science vessels, and this might gonna have some weak spot for Sharp to go for the bust later on once those lurker count goes so low. and he's gonna have the upgrade advantage with the 2-1 upgrade.
Well, that might be the bust you're talking about because there's only 4 Sunkens right now, not a single lurker. But we see Defilers, or I heard Defilers, eating up those lings for the energy, and Sharp is going to back off for now. I see, is that drop ships at the bottom side of the map?
Yes. It is.
He is sharking around into that third base. Out of position are those Scourge. Can he get in?
I think he might be able to take one down. Oh yes, he will take one of the dropship down. So one single medic, and now the Ultralist just came out, but +4 did not finish. So one Ultralist picking up one Ultralist would be definitely nice for Sharp, I would say, even though that wasn't a successful drop.
Yeah, not exactly the most successful drop as you mentioned, and we do have BCs with Yamato coming and +1 weapon on the BCs too. I am getting worried for Sharp now because 4th base is in full force for action, and these lings are going to be annoying to deal with at the bottom side of the map. And because he built those dropships means that the BCs are delayed. And lately, BCs have shown that they are quite effective versus Ultras, especially with Yamato. But there are those Irradiates dealing a lot of damage to those couple Ultras at the top side.
I'm also interested that Sharp got those Science Vessel energy upgrade. Because normally, most of the Terran players do not get those mana upgrade because it's kind of meaningless. I mean, those you're not Protoss. Like if you're Protoss, you will just have those High Templar each expansion and try to just wait, sit there and wait until the Zerg army comes and start throwing a couple of storm here and there. But as Terran, you have to be active, moving around your science vessels to constantly using those Irradiate on those Lurker, Ultralists, and Defiler everywhere, and try to buy some time. And yeah, that's interesting of getting the mana upgrade in my opinion.
Well, there's a great plague onto a couple of those vessels. Lurkers set up and decimate all the Marines and medics holding this position. And meanwhile, you saw there was attack at mid right at the same time. This is why playing versus 4-5 base Zerg is scary. All this econ kicks in. Small armies can be everywhere, comboed with Darkstorm. You really have to have solid bases for the map. And it's just so hard for Terran. We actually see action with a supply lead.
Yeah, this is a bad scenario what we are right now seeing, because I mean they are like half of the army is sitting in the middle, and now once those Defiler comes, you gotta use the Irradiate. Once those Defiler comes from all those Zergling and start using those Darkstorm to the mid right, that third expansion is gonna be vulnerable. The 4th expansion hasn't been saturated yet. Those Zerglings are buying some time here, and I think this is just gonna be forcing Sharp to play defensive, and while he's playing defensive, action is going to be taking multiple expansion here and there at the same time. I guess the 2 battle cruisers did stop that 9 o'clock expansion.
Yeah, meanwhile, there's still Ultras, Lings, and Defilers in the center of the map, and we see that it's a 70 worker count for both players. So Zerg's econ is just absolutely crazy. The only thing that I'm seeing a lack of is gas, but I'm sure that'll shoot up pretty soon once he gets that 5th gas up and running at top middle. But 4 BCs are out now, soon to be 5. And my personal opinion is once you get up to like 5 to 7, the BCs start dishing out quite a bit of damage.
Well, that is definitely a lot of battle cruisers right now. I'm seeing it. I'm not sure why Sharp is giving up that 4th expansion. He gotta secure that 4th expansion. I know it is somewhat vulnerable for defending the 3 o'clock side, but his army is just lacking. He can't really hold off the ground army right now that Action has with the full Ultras with massive amount of Zerg here and there. But these battle cruisers will go for the counterattack, picking up some units and drone as well, doing some great job there.
I think that there's just too much Zerg. It's just too chaotic. BCs are similar to Ultras in the sense that they're super tanky, and you can see that the BCs are doing work at the top side of the map. But Sharp's losing his mid-right base, and Action, even if he loses top middle, he still has 3 other bases. Meanwhile, Sharp is going to be mined out in his main and natural if they're not mined out already. That's I guess, a good Yamato, but in the end, one of the BCs still fall, and it's just non-stop relentless attacks from these Lings and Ultralists.
Yeah, I don't see much of a Sharp's leftover army right now. His main base and naturals are completely mined out. 4th expansion is still not being saturated. I mean, right now Sharp is stuck at 1 base mining, and Action has plenty of hatcheries to Yeah, he's still not mined out yet. He still has all those leftover minerals to finish up, and all those defilers. The one single defiler we're using a one nice swarm, and we get to see +5 armor is done.
Yeah, +5 armor is done. I have a feeling that this game might be done because Terran's about to lose this base, or potentially could lose this base, and he's still stuck on one base scan. That bottom middle base has been denied by Lings for like 5 minutes now. Supplies plummeting for both players. Well, actually, they're kind of keeping up, but it's still 160 for Action, only 135 for Sharp.
I mean, this game is excellent how well Action was playing with the macro open. Why were Zerkers like complaining about like 3-hatch Muta versus +1 5-rack? He's like unstoppable. You cannot win against Terran, and you have to be like absolutely good at Muta micro and eating up all those Marine Medic Force in the middle of the map in order to play really well against +1 5-racks. But I guess it's not the same scenario, you know, how it was done by like the old era.
Well, I was just watching that Yamato hit that Ultra, and the Ultra still survived. We do have to remember that this was not a 5-racks, it was a 4-racks in Detect. But yeah, 5-racks used to be, well, it was for a long time unstoppable, but the third players got a lot better, and that was just a disgusting plague. Like, literally over 1,000 points of damage, because those are all going to be one-shottable by a single Mutalist.
And now Action is taking into multiple bases, and look at how many drones are over there at the fifth expansion at 11 o'clock site. And now Action is just crazy with taking all those expansions. A lot of Scourgers are out. I think they're just rallied towards to this side, and now Action is just going to be flooding all of his army to eat up. And yeah, Vessel.
Yeah, Vessels don't die, but at the same time, there's an attack to bottom right. I mean, this is just how Action is. Once he goes into macro mode, he's everywhere, and he's going to take Game 3 in quite a slugfest.
That was an excellent play by Action. Like, why did he go for all those all-in play style game number 1 and number 2 when he's really good at macro play?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is this is the type of Action that I want to see, because really, there's almost no other player that can match this type of macro from Action, except maybe Larva. Like, when I see Larva play and his multitask in the macro, I mean, that's just insane to watch. It's just ridiculous. And Action's got comparable macro, so I think he's finally found his stride. We don't need to all in. Let's just play macro versus Sharp, and you can see the result here. I mean, just ridiculous.
So it's good to know that Action is catching up the score. Still behind 1-2, but now Sharp is the one gonna be choosing the next map. And interesting that he chose Good Night. A lot of Terran players do not like to play on Good Night because we have seen Royal versus Hero on ASL. The winner's match, 11 o'clock, Natural is completely vulnerable. No matter how many missile turret you build, you just constantly loses your workers, just like how it just happened in game number 2 and game number 3, where Action was constantly picking up the Natural SCV line.
Alright, well, we'll have to keep that in mind. Let's get into Game 4, guys. It is going to be on Good Night. Maybe Sharp has something special planned. Alright, so our Terran player now only up 2-1. It is Sharp. And of course, Action in the bottom left in the teal. And it's interesting that you pointed out that the natural is almost undefendable by mutas. Makes you wonder why Sharp would pick this map. So I do think we may actually see an 8-racks here. I of course want to see something a bit unusual from Sharp, like something like 1-1-1 or mech, but as we know, he just never plays mech. But I'm still hopeful for some type of tech play.
I don't think I have ever seen Sharp playing 1-1 at all, like this. Maybe
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes he has done a mech build. Okay, he's sending out the SCV already to the natural, and it seems earlier than I thought. So this, as you say, I guess he'll go for the ARX this time, or is he going to be building?
Yeah, so it is the 8 racks, and I'm sure Action knows that this is an undefendable map for mutas. So he may be thinking like, that's weird, but for now, he has not gone for an early pool. We'll wait and see if he puts down an overpool or a 12. Okay.
Oh!
He knew, man. He knew just like you. Like, man, why are you picking Goodnight? And he goes for the overpool.
Yeah, Goodnight is such a great map for Zerg. Like, it's just unstoppable of stopping all those mutant earless harassment at the natural mineral line. And it was just kind of obvious. Like, bio... Like, if you just look at the map, it may look kind of like a standard, but from main base to the natural seems really far, and from natural to natural, it seems okay, maybe about same rush distance, just like Holy Point. But you know, whenever you're playing all those standard game, your barracks is always going to be inside at the main base, and main base to the natural is always going to be very far distance. And that is the reason why a lot of Terran players do not like to play against Zerg on Goodnight, because the distance is just too far. M&M just takes too long.
Well, what I did remember about Goodnight is top left is wallable, but we don't see a wall at the natural, and that Rax is so far forward that he can't even float it back. Now Sharp is going to come in here and see that he's bamboozled himself, because this is an overpool, and I don't really know what you can do versus this. Now, if it's only 4 lanes, actually Action may have thrown. Okay, it is going to be 6. Now, personally, when I see this, if I open 8 racks on ladder, I may just instantly exit. It's like, okay, well, I don't even know how you can transition out of this, at least for me successfully. I feel like I'm just so far behind. But we've got a factory follow-up.
Well, it's a good thing that Action hasn't scouted Sharp's expansion yet, and he doesn't get to see. Okay, he now gets to see there are 3 Marines are standing at the high ground, and now he should be realizing this cannot be a standard opening by Sharp, because you cannot have those 3 Marine outside of your base at this time. And we get to see 3rd expansion going up at 3rd expansion, just like how Eclipse was played. He's doing the same scenario with a 3 hatch opening.
Well, that is a high... I thought it was a Hydra Den. Nope. Action wasn't even mining gas, but I thought that drone was moving in position to build a Hydra Den. But we do see 3rd hatch at bottom middle, and killing those first 2 lanes was crucial for Sharp. It alleviates a lot of pressure, and even though we've never seen a 1-1-1 from Sharp, he's going to pull it out this time.
Yeah, we're looking at carefully how both of the players are playing. Action doesn't have any intel. Maybe you might be just thinking as this is a standard opening, and he's already going for the alert tag. He's not even putting down the Hydra Den whatsoever. Maybe he's just thinking this is a standard opening and may trigger him to lose a lot of drone. Okay, he might...
Did he see it?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he saw it, and he's also thinking back to, like, okay, this is Sharp, man. He doesn't ever go 1-1-1, and that sunken is extremely late. This is going to completely catch Action off guard.
Yeah, I think that for Zerglin was able to see how much of a Marine at the natural. Like, he had been having all the 4 Marine for a long time, and now a single Vulture is trying to go up to the high ground, but now
oh my gosh.
So many missed shots. Artos is
Probably,
yeah.
Yeah, of course, whenever I think of unlucky or missed shot, instantly Artosis comes to mind. That was 4 missed shots right there, by the way, on the ramp. So that Vulture just... he doesn't even have a single kill, man. I mean, that's heartbreaking. Even if you're not a Terran player, you gotta feel bad. Like, you get in when the player has no defense and you don't get anything for it.
Yeah, it's just a pure luck. I mean, you had your Vulture inside, but you couldn't go up because your Vultures are constantly missing all the shots to break that ramp. And now, I think Action is not thinking about the next combo. The next combo follow-up is gonna be definitely a raid, and he's not even thinking about it. I don't see any Hydra Den. Oh, is that the Zergling speed I just saw? Like the Zergling moving?
Yeah. This is definitely one of those games where you look at it and you're like, what is Zerg doing? But then you have to remember that these players have played versus each other hundreds at least, maybe thousands of games. And there's no Hydra Den, so this Wraith is going to rack up so many kills. Now, back on the other side of the map, Sharp's got to get in position because Lings are here and about to be on his doorstep, and he has almost no defenses, just still those only 4 Marines, soon to be 2 Marines.
Yeah, one of the Marines dangerously low HP. I mean, those SCV. And it's not like a fighting spirit ramp. A fighting
Uh-oh.
spirit ramp is, you know how narrow it is, but like this kind of space tower set, the ramp is huge that you gotta actually pull more SCV in order to stop this Zergling flood. And now, Wraith is doing some job picking up the Overlord,
Oh
but
my.
it is not doing much of a job.
Well, that clutch Overlord production from Action that just kicked in there kept him from being supply blocked. It looked like the Wraith may actually supply block Action for a second, but for now, the Wraiths are racking up kills. Like this has like 6 kills, maybe 4 kills. Scourge pop out, an instant reaction from Sharp to save the Wraith.
So one of the Vulture at the 1 o'clock side, dangerously low HP, trying to do some Vulture micro pick up some links, but it wasn't working well. The Cloak upgrade is on the way for Sharp, and both of the players pretty much on low eco, but remember, whenever Zerg has a lot of hatcheries, even though with the low eco, they can immediately pump like 9 runes at a time with this triple hatchery.
Yep, and I think now Action has realized that this is just one base with Cloaked Wraith, so he's going to get, or he has speed coming. He's gonna, I think that is a Sunken at his third base, so he's gonna be tight there for potential run by. And this game is going to stabilize, and that's a fantastic sign for Action because he just needs to survive the next couple minutes, let his econ kick in, and he'll have a massive advantage.
I'm also interested of seeing how Action is doing in this game. Like yes, he does need those drone count, but he's not thinking of getting the extractor yet. He did get those overlord score. Whenever, as a Terran, like whenever you see overlord speed is done, oh, that means 11 Muta. That's like all in type of a Muta should be coming probably in next 1 minute or so. But I mean, one gas Muta is just gonna not much of a Muta will be made.
Well, it has been a while that Zerg has been mining on that one gas, so I'm not sure exactly how many mutas he has right now, but that is only 4 wraiths. That's not an overwhelming amount. Okay, maybe that is only 4 mutas too. Damn, look at that control on the wraith. He's gonna kill these overlords. Remember, he has cloak, so he can cloak now and run away, or just focus down the drones too.
Yeah, Sharp also knows there's the overlord speed is already done, and now it's gonna be start chasing. But for cloak wraiths, they have all this nice energy, so they're gonna be surviving for a long time. And I think Action is just gonna be immediately switching into Armor 1 into a Lurker switch over here. That is somewhat interesting what I'm seeing.
Well, this is going to be a strong follow-up because, of course, I think Sharp delayed his +1, if he even has started +1. We saw that he went for vessels, yep, and we did see that he got an add-on for tanks, and that is not a good sign. Academy pretty much just started, so it's going to be at least 2 to 3 minutes before Sharp even thinks about getting out onto the map with Marines.
Maybe Sharp is not interested of winning against those Muta race battle, but in my personal opinion, I would say like you gotta be dominant, beating up all those wraiths, and I guess maybe Sharp will be just making a mistake and lose those wraith count, and just gonna help Action to play on a sweet spot here. With this, he just only made 4 mutas and maybe some scourges here and there, but all those eco boosts right now Action is happening with this 3 base mining, 3 base gas probably more soon, like momentarily, and we also get to see the Queen's Nest also going up.
Yep, Queen's Nest is coming. Ooh, nice sacrifice of the Mutalist to kill that single vessel. Remember, Sharp's on just 1 base, so every unit out of that starporter factory is so crucial. And Hydra does not take down the Wraith. Another Overlord falling, but not a big deal, especially since Zerg has such good econ.
Yeah, this is somewhat weird, I would say. He's going for a Hydra. I mean, I thought he would be going for like Hydra Lurker, but I guess he would just go for Hive Tech immediately. But Hive Tech against Terran, who already has like 1 or 2 more vessels, will be coming out soon, and you don't have the air advantage, and all those 2 raids will be pretty much buying some time here and there whenever he can, once those raids get repaired. And yeah, Action should be knowing this has to be a 1 base playstyle. You must have the number of Mutalists. Like you may think that Mutalists just are pretty much meant to be using for the harassment. But you can also use those mutalisks to tank all those marine shot and send your lurker forward and try to sandwich them from the both sides.
Yeah, I also was thinking that this was going to be a Hydra Lurkerling attack, not necessarily going into Hive. And okay, now he started to ramp up the Lurkers and Lings, and that is a lot of Lings, and he's going to try and overwhelm this army. But remember, Terran, I think, has maybe 2 tanks. Okay, but that is so many Lurkers and Lings. He's scrambling to get on the high ground. Another vessel does fall, and oh my gosh, everything gets caught, and that's it. Instantly GG from Sharp in action. He has now tied up the score 2-2.
I thought Sharp was okay position, but maybe not. Maybe he should have waited for like maybe 1 or 2 more rounds of a Barracks macro, like the cycle of a macro, and have numbers of a marine, like how JYJ was being patient when he was moving out. But I think he was kind of like rushing to move out. I mean, Action had 7 lurkers already that time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard, right? Because he knows Zerg's on 3 base. You know that their Hive's coming. I'm sure he just went into desperation mode. And I agree. It felt like... I thought that also Sharp's army is going to be pretty strong too. But then you looked at it when the engagement happened. It's like, well, wait a minute. This guy only has like 8 Marines. I don't know if that's enough to actually push through. But yeah, definitely not critical mass on the Marine count. And Action ends up taking that game. And remember, that was off of not scouting at all. Vulture got into his main. Wraith racked up so many kills. So Action really clutching it right now in the early game. Not letting anything phase him. We are going to be going into Game 5. It's going to be on Polypoid. So let's find out who's going to take a lead in our series. Okay, Polypoid, the map that everybody knows and loves. We've got our Zerg player in the top right. And of course, Mr. Sharp in the top left position. Now, we did see 1-1-1 for, I think, the first time in history from Sharp. Makes me hopeful that we could see a mech game.
But since Sharp lost that 4th game, so he did choose this map for game number 5 here. He did choose Polypoid, and I guess it's somewhat unlucky, like he just got another 11 o'clock position.
Yeah.
That's so hard to put your missile turret. And also, once you have that compensation at the natural, you gotta have 4 SCV at the 4 SCV at the refinery in order to get the second guess here. And I guess this time he's not gonna be going 8 racks standard opening.
Yep, no 8 racks, no depot at the natural either. It's another position you can wall, not the most ideal wall, but it is wallable. And yeah, top left, turrets are a bit hard to place. Also, the gas is right up against the wall, so a lot of my games, my gas ends up just getting denied forever. So we'll see if that comes into play. And of course, Action getting lucky again. He is going to find Sharp in the first position. Now this time around, no early pull. So Action will just be going into standard 12 hatch.
And Sharp is also doing pretty much standard so far. 11 barracks into a 12 scout. But is he gonna be doing the reverse scout, or is he just gonna be looking forward to see whether the overlord is coming or whatnot? He did not get to see the overlord, but I guess he will just send the SCV to top right. So both of them will be scouting each other with the first shot.
And that is going to be the 11 pool, 10 gas, everything just by the book. So we are going to see a 2 hatch play from Action. Not going to have super macro 3 hatch opener. Now Sharp, after the 1-1-1 or the 8 racks into 1-1-1, I'm keeping a close look on his main. There's no gas, so it is not going to be tech opener. And we are just going to see another 15cc. Keep in mind, we already saw this opener, and we saw Action get quite aggressive with the link speed. So you know Sharp is definitely wanting to keep this SCV alive for a long time to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
I'm kind of like interested of seeing how Action is so being greedy. Okay, maybe he did get to see the command center at the 11 o'clock natural, but this time I guess he won't be chasing that SCP. Maybe he's just tired of chasing that SCP to lower down the HP, and he's just immediately gonna go for the lair attack this time. Not getting the speed first, but here are the 6 Zergling coming out from those Zerg eggs. And this 6 Zergling will pretty much force Sharp to build a bunker immediately once it just start moving towards the Sharp's natural. Here the 4 Zergling came out from the main base, and I guess he won't be checking the additional 2 Zergling at the natural side. He'll just rotate inside, but none of the Zerglings are chasing, but he's already putting down the bunker. Okay, as soon as he gets to see the bunker was going to be built, he did get to see it earlier, so he pulled the overlay back, and now those 6 Zergling is focusing on prioritizing on killing this SCV.
Yep, nicely done from Action, forcing out those 100 minerals that Terran never wants to build in the early stages. 100 minerals could have been almost for a faster academy, so it really does hurt the Terran quite a bit. You can see even the second barracks is done, not blinking at all. There is the Academy, 352 Academy, not the fastest Academy, so that's going to delay a timing attack from Sharp quite a bit. Now, meanwhile, that drone is already going out. Wonder where he'll be putting this base.
So I think that drone is most likely gonna go for another spawning location to morph that third hatchery, and we see he's spreading that Zergling all the way to the bottom side and try to see any sort of a second SCV scout. Like oh, that is an interesting placement of taking the third expansion.
Bottom middle. I don't know what to think about this, because of course it's hidden, which is nice, but at the same time it doesn't help you get a fourth base. I would have really liked to seen it at either the bottom right main. I am actually a big fan of natural, or the natural bases, so bottom right nat would have been amazing to me. But Action, he's going to go with this. It is going to be, ooh, Lings, I thought might be able to catch 4 Marines for free, but in the end backs up.
And this is one of the sweet spots that you can put your overlord at this side of the center, and you can also see where the M&M is moving out or whatnot, and Action is on a great spot right now. The Spark Tech will just finish on time. First scans go off, Sharp gets to see there are plenty of drones at the natural, and also the Mutalisk is also on the way.
First couple Mutalisks are going to be moving out. A Ling run by, catches a Marine, also forces units out of the bunker now. Now those units are moving across the map. Does it even have a medic? I assume it does, but that's not a lot of Marines. It's just 6. And the Mutalisks are already out, and that's a stem, and that means that these Marines will hit pretty hard, but they're already dangerously low. There goes 1. Now it's 5 Marines versus 5 Mutas.
Yeah, that splash damage pretty much picked up the one. Ooh, look at that!
Oh
like one
my
of the
gosh.
low HP Mutalists, he just pulls back and just start picking up all those Marine for free. I mean, he didn't lose any of the Mutalists. That was an excellent micro by Action, and he also bought some time with the 2 Zerglings that was left over at Sharp's main base, and now Sharp is trying his best to put all those missile turret.
Yeah, that was perfect clutch defense from Action. He didn't have a single sunken at his natural, so it could have gotten dangerous, but remember, it comes back down to that bunker in the beginning, that 100 minerals that could have been about a 15-second faster academy. Imagine if even just 6 Marines were at the natural 15 seconds earlier. He easily could have gotten through to the nat. Now here come those mutas attacking those turrets at the nat. This time around the defense has been pretty good, but that back turret is going to get picked off too, and now it's going to start getting ugly for Sharp.
Yeah, this is the one of the ugly spot for Terran that you can't really build much of a missile turret. And all those SCV just start walking backward like behind of the mineral line. And constantly losing SCV one by one like this, and also the comms station is also annoying. I wish the comms station can be added to the left side as well, but it is somewhat unfortunate that it always has to be close to the right side. And now those Mutas is constantly picking up their worker count. We hear a couple of skins going off. He did get to see the Evolution Chamber, +1 armor is already on the way for Action. Whether he's gonna go for Crazy Zerg or maybe armor 1 with the worker follow, but maybe not.
Yeah, this does look like it's going to be Crazy Zerg Got Queen's Nest coming down, so rushing that hive again. Okay, Marines almost intercept the mutas, but they end up backing off for now. +1 weapon for the mutas, no surprise there. He knows how vulnerable the natural is. Now, a scan went off, and the way Sharp was moving is I thought he may have found bottom middle, but for now, Action, he's going to back off with the mutas, and he's going to try and intercept this secondary attack that looks like is coming out of Sharp's main right now.
You hear lots of scan going off, and they're just constantly checking like how many Sunkens there are at the natural. So there are 5 Sunkens, and whenever there are 5 Sunkens, you can't really do anything. He didn't scan the 6 o'clock yet, so he doesn't have any intel. There's no expansion at the 3 o'clock, no expansion at the 5 o'clock. So maybe he's just gonna take a guess over here. Oh, you might have a 5 o'clock natural, maybe having all of the Sunken up going by now. But when those medic move forward, he doesn't get to see any creep. Oh, you don't have this expansion?
Yeah, well, that's the likely scenario, right? Is why would you take top middle or bottom middle? Look, he even scans top middle. It's not there. He's just like, I know it's somewhere, man. Where is it? And he looks like he is gonna find it now. Let's see if actually Action can save it. No, there's no way. The units are just way too far away. But he will try and save some of the drones. Nicely done by Sharp to catch those drones trying to escape, and he kills all of them. Amazing. Look at that. Worker count plummeted down to 21 for Action.
Yeah, all of a sudden the game just slowly changing into Sharp's favor here. He did save those SCV count really well, pumping all additional SCV here and there. And now those 10, 11 middles are doing some middle harassment, picking up those 3 missile threat. Now the natural is completely vulnerable. He did lose a lot of drones, so now he needs to pay back. And now he's going to be focused targeting on the refinery, and all the splash damage is picking up the random marine here and there.
Well, Action has continued to build more mutas, and he's going double upgrade, which is great for his ground, but he has to have actual units to be able to use that ground. Because he's built so many mutas, I don't even know how many Ultralists he's going to actually be able to build. Look at this gas count. I mean, it's pretty low. Meanwhile, we do have starports going down for Sharp, and he's going to be going into that vessel production pretty soon.
I'm also looking carefully. The science facility wasn't even done yet. No second eBay yet for Sharp as well. So that means Action's +2 armor is relatively fast compared to Sharp's +2 attack timing. And this might, I mean, Sharp was an okay spot, but now he's just losing all this SCV count, and somehow Action is getting all this worker count back to 28 versus 36. And Action is just constantly, he's just going to be completely stubborn, picking more of SCV at the natural side.
Yeah, he is catching back up, and he's actually getting quite lucky that those Marine medics that are out in the center of the map, okay, there we go. There's a scan at mid-right. I was going to say he's getting lucky to get this third base up, but he's going to be unlucky because that hatchery's going to be denied again. But man, these Mutilas have done so much damage to the natural. You can see why it's a nightmare for Terran at top left.
Yeah, somehow the worker count is almost even. Action did cancel the third hatchery over there at the 3 o'clock, and now I think Action is not checking his natural. Okay, he did focus looking at how much of the drones are actually mining each gas, and now just a single starport vessel now for Sharp, and +2 on the way, +2 on the way for Sharp, and +2 armor is almost halfway done, more than halfway done.
Yeah, well, even though it looks like an ugly scenario, really, for both players here, +2 armor is going to kick in for Action pretty soon. He does need to get a third gas, though. And meanwhile, Sharp has finally alleviated pressure at his natural, so he should be able to get his second gas up and running pretty soon. I think I saw 2 ultras for Action, and that's it. But +4 is about to complete, and we do see bottom right is where the third base is going to be placed.
Interesting that Sharp is just hiding that one group of Marine Medic force at the bottom side of a 3 o'clock expansion. And Action is just pretty much switching into macro plays out here, adding another hatchery at the main base. And wow, that's a multiple hatcheries right now. He's building 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and even in main base macro hatch. Okay, now Sharp is slowly clearing all of the vision, picking up one overlord each.
Well, he knows that he just has to build more Ultralisks, so he's waiting for that gas to kick in. But meanwhile, he has a lot of resources. So double expanding while also building that macro hatch. And here comes a devastating attack. +2 weapon is not done for Terran. Meanwhile, +4 is done. And you can see Action is looking for an engagement. He's not going to commit to it, though.
Yeah, those two sensors is about to use the Irradium. Okay, one Ultralisk. Did not use the second Irradium. Maybe he will be using that one last Irradium for the middles. Maybe not. Okay, he will use the Irradium on the Ultralisk. So that's something that you really need to work on. You kind of want to lower down all those Ultralisk HP before you go for the huge fight. And whenever you go for the fight against Ultralisk, you gotta have at least more than 3 groups of Marine, excluding all those medic counts. So you gotta have at least 36 Marine count with medic support.
Well, the vessel count is now 1. Action did a good job to get rid of both of the vessels. And +2 weapon is about to finish, so upgrade advantage is going to be nullified. But I did see Action instantly started +3, so it should be about maybe 30% done. Yeah, close to 30% done. And we know that Sharp has been gas starved for a long time, so he needs to instantly start that. Okay, he does, but there's still going to be about a minute to a minute and a half advantage for Action. So if he can get an engagement 2 minutes from now, that'd be fantastic for him. Another Irradiate, but that's on Mutas, which really need to be on the Ultras because that's the scary army.
Yeah, now those 5 Ultras, 6 Ultras will be spotting all those Marine forces.
Goodbye.
And that will get caught. And now the majority of Sharp's army is moving towards the 5 o'clock side. So now Action needs to make a decision whether he's going to be giving up that 5 o'clock expansion and just secure that 3 o'clock expansion, or he's just going to go for the massive fight in the middle here. But this is a lot of Marine force right now I'm seeing. Okay, now Sharp is going to have this high ground advantage and better terrain. And I guess he'll just give up this expansion.
Yeah, this is a nice move from Sharp. He not able to kill mid right, but he is going to kill bottom right, and he's taking advantage of his even upgrades at the moment. Action desperately wanting to get a third base income. He is mining the gas at the third base, but no drones there. Think about what we saw last game. We saw like 70 drones at this point. Meanwhile, it's just 38, so completely different this time around. Sharp doing a good job to come back in this game. Oh, drones get found again.
Yeah, all those drones are getting picked off, so Sharp is doing great killing all those drones. That's something that he really needs to do when Action is slowly getting all those eco advantage. And now this massive amount of Ultras just will be moving around in the middle of the map and try to look for a good spot to eat up all of the Marine Medic force. And now I would say this Sharp's half of the army at the bottom side, the bottom right side, is just pretty much getting contained. He can't really move out.
Well, Action needs to force a fight now because he's about to have +5, and we know Terran's not going to have +3 for a while. +5 is so close to completing. This is his moment. He needs to force a fight onto that bottom half of the army. Otherwise, Sharp is just going to continue to sit here and wait for a +3.
It is somewhat interesting of like a couple months ago we have seen like Action versus Rush, the ultimate battle, where he just go for pure Ultralisk, like no Zergling whatsoever. But this time, I guess the scenario is somewhat different, that he needed to make some Zergling. He's just using a group of Zergling for vision and maybe some support, and just not even making a single additional Zergling from now on, just completely mass Ultralisk. Okay, maybe he'll just make some Zerglings here and there, and also Defiler mount is also completed.
Well, you can see that this was the moment that Action was looking for. He saw units move out of position and instantly rushes to engage them. And Sharp knew that. He tries to get back on the ramp, but I don't think he got back in time. And look at these Ultras just ransack everything. I don't even know if they're going to kill a single Ultralisk here. Okay, looks like Sharp just going to, or Action's going to take that trade and back off, but that was a good trade from Action.
And then now the +2 is also on the way. Oh, single Ultras just got picked up, maybe it just got irradiated. Okay, now we see Sharp is trying to... it just doesn't look great. He does have a lot of Marine Medic force. He doesn't have that 3rd CC yet. And now Action is just crazy, just all over the place, taking all the expansion. 7 o'clock main base and 6 o'clock once again, and those 5 o'clock army is just pretty much trapped, and I guess 2 Ultralists is just more than enough to stop a handful of Marine over here.
We're going to have a big engagement here. This is a lot of Ultras. A couple of them irradiate. There's also Defiler there, and that's a grouped up group of Marines. I thought we were going to see a juicy play, but in the end, it is just Dark Swarm, and Action's going to be content sitting here for now. But with the bottom left bases going up for Action, ooh, looks like Sharp already scanned them because he's moving to the bottom left side of the map. But remember, his main and Nat are about to be mined out, so I don't know about this move.
Yeah, the main base is completely mined out. I guess the single Defiler just came at the natural side, using one Dark Storm nicely, but does not have enough energy. Maybe he'll consume something. Yeah, he'll consume something. He'll consume the Zergling and use another nice Dark Storm on the ramp. And Action. Yeah, he's just gonna go for the base trade here, giving up that 7 o'clock expansion, and now this is gonna trigger Sharp on a bad scenario here.
Well, Sharp is going to kill bottom left, and he's going to kill bottom middle, but unfortunately for him, Action still has mid right, and he still has a ton of Ultras, Defilers, Lings left over, and of course, Sharp's losing his main at the same time, so base trade scenario gone awry unless Sharp can bring it back with his standing army that's already out in the center of the map.
Yeah, that's just way too many Dark Storm, what I'm seeing. Like, there are like total 5 Dark Storm and more Dark Storm just spread around at the barracks site, and now Sharp is completely mined out. He can't actually macro his barracks. It's just completely, the game is not going really well for Sharp, even though he was leading the score 2-0 in the beginning, and now Action is just gonna flip this game over 3-2 soon.
Yeah, it looks like 3-2 is on the menu any moment now. Ultra's just ransacking everything. You can see Sharp desperately sending all of his units back to save it. And that's a nice pickoff onto the Defiler. Unfortunately, it's just too much Zerg, and there's the tap out GG. And Action, he's going to take the 3-2 lead. Well, where do you think it went wrong for Sharp? Because he denied the third base for so long, and then he caught the third base and killed all the drones. It looked like he was in a fantastic position. Was it simply the Muta harassment at the natural?
I think the Mutalist harassment at the natural just pretty much triggered him to lose the game. Maybe he could have just put down more of a missile turret, even though like he had more than enough. Maybe he just needed to like overly making all those missile turret at the natural side so he can defend and not losing much of a worker count. Like, he was absolutely ahead of worker count once he destroyed that 6 o'clock expansion. It was like 28 workers versus 41-ish or something. So Action was one group, he was 12 workers behind compared to Sharp's worker count. And those middle harassment at the natural was just absolutely hurting Sharp to keep up the macro. And he also couldn't get the Science Festival on time. Like, his +2 was so late.
Yeah, +2 was late. Academy was late. Remember, the first 6 Marine 2 medic move out. It did nothing. So a bit of a misstep there from Sharp with his first move out, and then of course never being able to shut down the mutas. I mean, that's just what happens at top left. I've experimented with putting turrets like right on top of the minerals so that I can build like 7 of them, and it just still doesn't matter. So I'm sure Terran players will find a way to defend mutas there, but that game ends up going to Action. Nicely done by him. And now we're going to go into a third map pick from a Sharp. It's going to be his non-ASL map pick, In the Way of an Eddy. Right. In the bottom right, on a 3-0 winning streak, it is Action. And then in the top left, our Terran player, it is Mr. Sharp. So In the Way of an Eddy, this is a map we have not seen in a long time, but every time I see it and every time I am aware that it's a Terran versus Zerg game that I'm watching, I always think back to Sharp versus Sulky. I'm pretty sure it was Sharp versus Sulky. Sharp was bottom left. Sulky was top right. Sulky ended up hiding a third base, but Sharp scanned the natural, and it looked like Sulky was
Oh,
all-inning,
I
and then
remember that game.
in response, he built like 3 bunkers overly defended, and then Sulky just ran him the heck over in the mid and late game.
Yeah, that was in what is it?
ASL, I think.
Yeah, no, no, that was KSL.
Yeah.
That was KSL. Where was it? KSL season 2, I believe. That must be the KSL season 2, where I think it was on a like semifinal where Soki playing against Sharp and who was it? Soki was pretty much transferring all this drone to the third expansion, and when Sharp scanned it, oh, this has to be all. That was funny one.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is completely next level." So, yeah, it's been a while since I've seen in the way of an Eddie, but if you guys have not seen that game versus Sulky, highly recommend trying to find it on YouTube. It is just a ridiculous mind game. Now we do see that Action, I guess, was expecting some shenanigans because again, this is a 9 pool.
Yeah, the 9 point once again by Action. He's just sending that worker to the horizontal line to make sure whether Sharp has spawned at the 7 o'clock and the. Oh, this is a reverse scout what I'm seeing. So yeah, he Action is not gonna be seeing opponent's natural. He's just gonna be immediately sending that obelisk to the main base to confirm. And now this gonna be giving him some intel. Oh, Sharp has to be spawned at the 11 o'clock site because he just met the scouting SCV. And now the 6 Zerglings are out, and looks like the distances seem so far that Sharp can't really see the natural on time, and I guess it's just gonna take a risk here.
Look at this. I can't believe Sharp didn't go to top right. Instead, he just went for a cross scout and assumed that actually Action scouted to the top right position. Nicely done from Sharp. I would have never gone for a cross scout here, but he is scrambling to get up this bunker. It looks like it will barely be in time, but he's forced to pull so many SCVs. This is 6 SCVs, so tons of lost mining time, but great
Ooh.
control on the SCVs again to deny these lings from getting in.
I thought Sharp was gonna be dying to this 9 6 lane without the speed link because I mean like he didn't get to see those 6 Zergling from the natural. Like when the Zerg is sending out the 6 Zergling, Sharp needs to be seeing those 6 Zergling like immediately coming out, and then gotta be knowing that 6 Zerglings are on the way, but he saw in the middle of the map. So I thought the bunker would have been finished on time. But I guess the distance from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock, the cross spawn, it seems really far here. But we see what's going on.
Why? Why, Action? Why do you do this to me? And that drone isn't even mining and it's natural. So we're going to have another all in. There's no lair. We're not mining. Okay, we are mining with 1 on gas. Honestly, I don't even know what the purpose of that is because I feel like this is either going to succeed and win the game or fail and we're just going to exit. So I feel like we might as well just mine as much minerals as possible, but whatever. It is going to be another Ling all in. We've got second racks coming up, Academy coming up. And again, Sharp is in the dark, so you see him sending out a second SCV.
Yeah, that second SCP will get spotted by this spread Zergling. The Zerglings are on the way. Pretty sure the metabolic boost is going to be finished in the next couple seconds, and he still doesn't get to see. Maybe Action is just going to be chasing that scouting SCP with just 5 Ling, and the massive amount of Zergling will be rotated to the right side. And now this Marine, we're all about to move out, but now he immediately gets to see the second scouting SCV. Was not getting chased by the Zergling. He's immediately pulling those Marine back, pulling the SCV on time, and it looks like the bunker is getting surrounded. Maybe not. It's not getting busted.
Oh my gosh, another incredible hold from Sharp. He saw speed kick in the center of the map and instantly pulled all of his SCVs. And this guy has just great crisis management versus Lings. Like, he lost maybe 1 Marine. Look at this. Lings just don't do anything. In Action, I think this is not the move. At least not today versus Sharp, because his SCV control, his reaction time is just simply too on point. Like, you just can't Ling all in this guy right now.
Yeah, that was a I didn't expect that Sharp would be defending. I mean, we saw 6 Marines were moving out, like while he's doing the
Yeah.
second SCV, scouting SCV was moving towards the Action's main base, but damn, that was cool reaction, immediately catching Action's plan, like Action's strategy, like as soon as he gets to see the Speedling, and Speedlings weren't actually chasing Sharp's SCV, and he immediately pulled those Marine back home and pulled the SCV on time as well. That was excellent.
Yeah, just really fantastic from Sharp. I also agree in the beginning is I was surprised that that bunker got up because he had no idea Lings were coming across until it was the center of the map. So that means that he must have preemptively built the bunker. So good game sense by Sharp there to tie up the score 3-3. Now we're going to be going into the map that everybody loves that we never get to see though. It is going to be Lemon.
Lemon, I'm interested to see how both of the players will be played. We haven't seen those macro type of game yet.
Okay, our Zerg player, top right position this time around. It is Action. And then Terran, spawning in the bottom right. Now we've seen all types of play on this map. We've seen walls at the Natch. We've seen one base play. We've seen Wraith. Lemon is a pretty cool map, allowing all this build diversity.
And last time we got to see 4-pull by 815. That was a cool strategy against SOC on losers match. Like that was pretty confident, like with his strategy. Like whenever you're on a bad spot, like you are about to get eliminated in a tournament, pulling out that 4-pull was excellent. And I'm pretty sure now Terran players are kind of getting used to, oh, Zerg can do 4-pull, so I cannot be walling off, and Sharp is going to be going for the supply depot at the main base. Interesting wall.
Yeah, so we'll see if this means anything. Like, does this mean that we're going to wall it completely, go into tech on one base? Probably not, but Lemon is one of those new innovating maps where we've got double gas in the main. We've got like 20 mineral patches in our main too. So pretty cool concept. Now, there is the racks, and we do not see an early pull from Action, so Hatchery's going to be coming down pretty soon.
I would like to see like Zerg players going for like 12 pull into an expansion, like 12 pull into a 12 hatchery. I think it might be still doable, like how Soki was doing it against Rush in ASL round of 16 when he was going for 3 hatch. And I think 3 hatch is okay on this this map, because even if Zerg is staying on 3 hatchery build against like 1-1-1 type of build, a lot of people think 3 hatchery is bad against 1-1-1. Like Terran takes that favor in that kind of a game scenario. But in this kind of lemon map where there's a bunch of minerals you can be mined, and you have that second gas available at the main base as well, and I think it's just playable. But I guess he'll just go for 2 hatch playstyle here.
Yeah, he is going to opt into that low econ style. Now, this is a bit surprising, is that this was a gas opener from Sharp. And we talked about this earlier. Sharp, generally you load up his stream and you can expect to see 100% bio play, but not the case this time around. It is going to be factory. He does pull off of gas this time around though, so it's not going to be Wraith follow-up.
That's an interesting scout by both players. Action has gone for the cross scout. Sharp also has done the cross scout. And he'll just check the natural. Oh, no hatchery. Okay, you're not there. That's all he just gets, all those intel. Because as a Zerg player, you always gotta put the hatchery at the natural, so you can put those Kree colony at the nat and start having all those Ooh, drone gets picked up by the 2 Marine.
He does lose the drone, but he does get to see what he needed to see, which is that Terran walled in their base, and I think he saw that the factory was being built too, so he builds a sunken. Now, we've seen a lot of players go for vultures on this map. Oh.
So we see the scouting SCP. Now I'll just I guess the scouting SCP will just evacuate from Action's main base. And here's the command center follow up with the machine shop as well. I don't think the Vulture is out on yet, but... Ooh, is this a Mac opening? I don't see a Starport follow-up. Oh, never mind, I was wrong.
Yeah, Starport follow-up. And this, I guess, is going to be Vulture run by. I can't remember exactly who it was, but like 3 Vultures just sat behind the mineral line forever, it felt like. And you can see that Action's aware of the entrance being completely wide open, so he built his spire there to SimCity a little bit.
Maybe that could be Royal against someone. No, maybe that was JYJ. I know JYJ really loves to make 3 Vulture speed with a single rate follow-up and start picking up drones over here and there. And now I think Action is about to put the 3rd hatchery here. So this is a wallable. But I would say this spire placement is somewhat vulnerable because once the Siege Tank comes out, you can actually hit it from the bottom side with the Siege mode.
Yeah, that is true, but I haven't seen a successful tank push in such a long time. I'm not too sure if Action's even thinking about that. Now, Armory follow-up. Okay, that was a big building that got built. Is that science facility or factory? Okay, that's neither. It's an eBay.
Interesting of a build choice by Sharp. I mean, normally when you're doing this build, you're not making any of a raid or dropship. You're just immediately going for a Valkyrie opening. Just a pretty much countering 2-hatch Mura, and I guess Sharp will have this Vulture speed on time, and now this Vulture will be just sitting at the natural. Oh, was that the Zerg? Oh, never mind. That was the Zergling speed. So these 2 Vultures will be pretty much getting all those intel. Is Action taking another expansion or whatnot?
Yeah, he's going to find out that there was no expansion, but actually Action moving out those 2 lings was a bit dangerous. I thought Sharp was going to go pick them off and run by, but in the end he's content with just having the map control outside of the net. You can see that turrets are being built. Valkyrie's already out, and we know Valkyries hit really, really hard, and we did see Action build +1 weapon last time around, so if there's no armor on these mutas, these Valkyries will just decimate them.
I'm not sure whether this missile turret placement is good to put on top of the command center for turn, because if there's any additional building top of your command center, you cannot add comms station. But I don't know if this,
really.
Yeah, like you gotta have a space, like the command center space plus the comms station space. But this missile turret placement will block Sharp for adding those comms station at the main base. That's what I'm thinking of.
Well, I guess we'll find out if that is the case, if we only see 1 comsat. 2nd Valkyrie already out. Muta's trying to find an opening, but nothing. No opening just yet. Academy pretty much just now started, about 6:30 Academy, so it's going to be a bit of time before stem and range kicks in. There's +1 weapon, I think.
Interesting.
I don't know how well this is going to fare, because it feels like this is a wasted upgrade versus Valkyries.
No one really gets those +1 air weapon for Mutalisk against a Valkyrie opening, and the Scouting Vulture is just way too fast. I mean, the four Mutalisks can't really do anything, and Action did make a lot of drones, but no other units besides just making drone and Mutalisk. And now, I mean, Sharp is about to have this macro pumping out probably in a second or so. Okay, the Academy should be finished steam pack on the way, and yeah, those Mutalisks is trying to look for a move for the harassment, but there are 2 Valkyries. Gotta be careful.
Yep, 2 Valkyries versus just 9 Mutalisks. No +1 weapon just yet. What's funny about seeing the more Mutalisks being pumped out is, Sharp is thinking like, okay, I showed Valkyries, you're not gonna build more mutas. But if he only stays on 2 Valkyries and Zerg ends up building like something 20 Mutalisks, I mean, it could overwhelm the Terran player potentially. Maybe not though. I think 4 or 5 racks are down for Terran. Yep, first tank already out also, and Vessel coming out. So this attack that's going to be coming out from Sharp in the next minute or so is going to be so strong.
That's so fast. I mean, the first Science Vessel coming out at 8 minute 40-ish second, and also maybe a couple of tanks, or maybe not a couple, okay, just a single siege tank. And he might be gonna be moving out momentarily with the Science Vessel have enough energy for the E-Ready, but maybe first of all you gotta be defending the middle's backstab at the main base, and the middle support picking up one Scourge does connect to the Valkyrie.
Yeah, and look at that Valkyrie control. He backfired as soon as the mutas showed their face. Double hydrated, and that has to be a mistake, right?
Yeah, I think he immediately figured out Terran is switching to those Marine Medic Force, and he kind of needs to. Maybe he's just not interested in going for Lurker playstyle, so he will go for Lurker Hydra here, but still making drone at this stage of the game.
Okay, here comes another move with the mutas harassing the natural. One Valkyrie still survives though, and now they've gotten off like 3 or 4 shots. Look at how damaged those mutas are. If an irradiate goes off and the mutas are not split instantly, we could see multiple mutalisks instantly pop. Now that's also double evolution chamber, so this is going to be what In Control used to call Manzerg, which is Hydra Lurker and just want to fight you in the center of the map. But I don't even know if we're going to get to that point because Sharp's moving across.
Yeah, Sharp is already moving out. He just now once again giving up the natural, just like previous games. But the single irradiate, that's a nice irradiate. That's just gonna do. Yeah, buttering the breast so much. All of the mirrors are pretty much wounded. Low HP. 6 mirror remaining, but those natural is completely vulnerable. The Lurker egg is about to be done morphing, but now this Lurker is getting surrounded by the Lurkers. One nice scan maybe. Okay, he did use scan, but a little late, but a lot of Marines are getting picked off.
Jeez, I was not expecting to see that type of damage from the Lurkers, but in the end it still doesn't matter. And Sharp, he takes game 7. As you mentioned, that build from Sharp was so fast. What a timing with the tanks, Marine Medic, and Vessel. Nicely done. And unfortunately, all those mutalisks that Action built just didn't help him at all. I don't even know if he really killed that many SCVs.
I have a feeling Action was just overly making the drone. Maybe he wasn't really thinking of the timing attack by Sharp. You know how, like I said like a couple games ago, Sharp has a great mechanics but poor optimization, and probably threw him off for Action. That okay, I have a feeling Sharp is not going to be coming out soon, but oops, Sharp is already done. He's moving out.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to remember it was an Armory Valkyrie opener, which slows down timings even more. I mean, for the fact that it was out that fast while also comboed with Valkyries was surprising. So I don't know how exactly Sharp did that, but that attack was super deadly and completely an unexpected timing for Action. But now we're going to be going into game 8, and we're going to see Action's non-ASL map pick. It is going to be Gladiator. So this is going to be exciting. Hopefully we get a macro game because this is the biggest macro map we have.
Yeah, the Gladiator is also chosen by Action. Like we can see from the map pool here, Action chose Gladiator, and he also lost the game too, so he's picking Gladiator. Let's see how they're going to be played on this game number 8.
Alright, our second to last game of the day in the top left, our Blue Zerg. It is Action. And in the bottom left, coming off of a really solid timing, our Terran player, it is Sharp. Now, Gladiator, I'm a big fan of walling this map. All positions, I think, are wallable. Maybe not top right, but definitely bottom left. Now, meanwhile, again, man, how does Action just always have his Overlord going into the right position? He's going to find Sharp first again.
It's just pretty lucky for Action that he can spot where Sharp is located at, and good thing for Sharp that he also spawned at the bottom left side, that you can actually put 2 depot with a single barracks wall at the net, and it's just completely ling wall, and I think that's what Sharp is aiming for here.
Yep, that is going to be the depot and barracks coming. Now, I'm trying to think back to what Zergs actually did versus me on this map. Sometimes they would end up going Hydras and try and bust down this wall. That is one of the vulnerabilities of this build. You have a low Marine count, and Hydras can catch you off guard. Also had a lot of Ling Lurker buffs, so we'll see if that's in the arsenal for Action. Meanwhile, no early pool, so it's again going to be the 12 hatch.
Yeah, the scouting overlord is probably gonna be seeing the people momentarily. He does get to see, and Sharp does not get to see the overlord. Oh, he does get to see the overlord. So both of the players will know where they are located at.
Yep, now back in the main of Sharp, there's no gas, so it's not going to be a tech opener this time with the wall. It is just going to be the command center follow-up. Now, of course, Zerg doesn't know right now. Well, okay, now that the Overlord's over the ledge, he'll know if it's a command center, but you do have the option to go for like a second Rax if the Overlord wasn't already sitting there, so it can be a sneaky opener with the wall. And there's the drone harassment. Let's see if it can knock it down about half health.
Yeah, that's so much of a stubborn drone micro, chasing the SCV all the way there. 35 HP remaining, almost halfway there, 30 HP. So this is an excellent drone micro by Action so far. And this might trigger Action to go for another like a Ling bust. Maybe Lurker combo, Lurker follow-up. I think Lurker would be a very good option for Zerg to go for the bust at the natural, because once you start building all those 2 depot, I mean, look at the Terran's natural, so small. I mean, okay, yes,
yeah,
you can fit like maybe 1 or 2 bunkers, but your constant station will be added to the right side. Your spaces is becoming smaller and smaller.
That is definitely true. And also a lot of times when I ended up getting busted, okay, well, first off, that SCV is gone. But what happens to me a lot of times is when I get busted is I'm in panic mode where I'm like scrambling to build bunkers and all that stuff. But then I forget that, like, oh, I actually had 2 depots there and I get supply blocked. So I have these bunkers, but I don't have any units. So that could be a factor if we do see a bust. First couple Lings are out. We don't see a Hydrogen anywhere. So unfortunately, looks like we're not going to have the Lurker Ling bust that we were talking about.
And interestingly, Action is not interested of getting the Zergling boost. He'll be immediately going for the inner three hatch that I've been mentioning about every time when we do the cast here. And this is one of the strategy where Zerg does not take a 3rd expansion, but they put the macro hatchery at the main base, and they have all the larva advantage in the early stage, and they can pump out a lot of drones and also the middleless. And whenever Terran moves out with the first team, first team pack of the Marine Medic Force, the Steam Rush, what is this called? You can't really do much about damage though to Action against the Zerg, because they will just put down massive amounts of Sunkens at the natural anyways.
Yeah, and this is a good mix-up because we saw Action on Polypoid try and hide a 3rd base. So when Terran moves out, unless he scans this 3rd hatch in the main, which it's likely, he may just have all these units completely out of position, looking for a hatchery that doesn't exist. So I do like that this time around we're going to have the 3rd hatch in the main. Now meanwhile, Sharp ended up getting a pretty darn fast academy. He does have 2nd barracks too. And he is going to be looking to move out, and he's going for double comsat because he wants to know, did you build that 3rd hatch in your main, or is it out on the map somewhere?
Yeah, he's trying to look for any sort of expansion at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock side, but he doesn't get to see it at this game timer at 5-minute mark. And now he's going to be moving out. He should be using the scan momentarily. He's moving out with 7 Marines with the 2 medic, and he does get to see there are 2 Sunken Colony going up, but no Zergling speed whatsoever.
Wow, this is amazing for him. The SCV gets in, which means he doesn't even have to blow a scan now because he sees everything. But he does see that 3rd hatch is up, and he does see that this is... Oh, wow, he's going to go for it. The 2nd Sunken isn't done, and you can bust this if it's only 1 Sunken. Drone gets sniped. Sunken gets instantly taken out. There's only 1 remaining, and Action's skimped out on Lings.
This feels like one of the map like Fighting Spirit that Terran actually can go for the Steam Rush here and actually bust the Sunken before the middleless comes out. And this is what right now we're seeing. Action does get those middleless count slowly getting adds up, but they're taking too much of a damage.
He kills almost 2 mutalisks already. There's only 4 mutalisks that can even easily fight. Okay, actually, Action ends up saving both of the mutalisks there, but he lost double Sunken, he lost a couple drones. Nicely done from Sharp, and he supply blocked him. So now, Action, he needs to make something happen, because look at that worker count. 35-18.
Yeah, because of that steam rush that Sharp did. Now Sharp is on a defending side where he needs to be focusing on defending and putting lots of missile threat, because those Marine Medic Force died at, or pretty much sacrificed and bought some time as Sharp actions natural. And we know Sharp has been stuck at macroing with only 2 racks, and he's also adding a factory. If he's not adding much of a missile threat, he might get busted by the all-in Mira here. Maybe Action might not be interested of going for a macro game. Okay, maybe he'll just add up a couple more of the drones, but I'm not sure whether he can go for the macro style here after taking so much of the damage.
Well, for now, it looks like he's going to try, and we do have a Firebat was sent across the map, was trying to find a hidden hatchery, or also trying to backstab that natural because he knows there's no sunkens there. But it was spotted by Mutalisk, but for now the Mutalisk back off, and it does alleviate pressure on the natural for Sharp, so that's great for him. But yeah, the simply only having 2 racks means that if this was all in Mutalisk, potentially Action could come back, but it looks like he is just macroing out of it, and now we see another barracks coming down.
Yeah, more barracks is coming down, I should say, and he's not interested of going double starport. Like if we have watched like how Light and Rush is playing or Royal is playing, they don't go tank. They like to go double starport whenever they are feeling great about this game scenario. But I guess Sharp does not like to go double starport. He's always likes to go for C-Stank for some reason. And now there's a main base. Missile turret is slowly getting taken down by 11 middles harassment. None of the middles get one, okay, 2 middles will get picked off.
Yep, 2 get picked off and 2 are super low. So Action does need to be careful, and he does build a couple more Sunkens at his nat. He's still going to go into Hive, but still, Econ is just completely ravaged. Only 23 drones versus 46 SCVs. First couple tanks are popping out. Science facility started too. And now, Mutas have got their eyes set on that natural. It looks like he doesn't have +1 weapon, but he does kill those turrets pretty darn fast.
Yeah, this is one of the locations. Like this kind of a wall, or I should like the wall is pretty much covering the vision that missile turret is not efficiently doing the damage to the Mutalisk. And now, once again, we're seeing Sharp is taking so much of the Mutalisk harassment taken by Action. And by the meantime, while Action is doing all this Mutalisk harassment, look at the Marine count is slowly getting lower and lower. I mean, 8 Marines, that's all he has. And now Action is slowly catching up, pumping a lot of drones and Hydra Den. Also going for Hive Tech on the way as well.
Yep, so many drones now for Action. He's brought it back up to 30, but he's still far behind. He did kill the gas at the natural, so that's going to delay the tank and vessel for quite a bit. Also delays a radiate, I'm assuming, and +2 weapon. Now, Action does not have a drone anywhere on the map, so he's stuck on just 2 bases. Firebat is looking for a hidden hatch, but he's not able to find anything.
Yeah, more harassment has been done, and I guess Sharp will be just wait for until this first science vessel comes out. And because of the losing the second refinery at the natural, Sharp does not have much of a left remaining messing gas to make additional siege tank. He will just focus on investing all those upgrade, getting the siege mode, and also getting the science vessel out on the map. And once the science vessel is out, he should be feeling a little bit comfortable defending his natural by now, and should be moving out momentarily.
Yep, he's gonna have siege mode in about 30 seconds. Hatchery was placed at top right. We've got lurkers moving over there to defend it, but Sharp's got a insanely strong push coming, and Mutas are great. I don't think he has a radiate just yet though, but the Marines are at critical mass. They should be able to fight off the Mutalisk, but good engagement right there. Maybe he does have a radiate. Okay, he does. And that's going to deal, not as much damage as I was anticipating.
Yeah, that was much of a damage has done, but we don't get to see any of our army besides just pure Mutalisk. I mean, finally he's making 2 lurkers at the natural, but this is not enough. I mean, these 2 siege tanks, it's just pretty much a big pressure for Action to defend, because all of the middles are pretty much taking off so much of a marine damage, and also Irradiate has done so much somewhat damage to the middles. And now I don't know, can Action hold this with just 2 lurkers and an 8 marine?
I don't
Muta?
think so, because +1 armor is also done. The mutas are dangerously low, and there's nothing to help support the mutalist, really. 2 lurkers are just going to sit there. 4 lurkers are moving back from the third base, but it looks like they're just trying to delay reinforcements.
Oh, the Night
Those
is
lurkers are
gonna.
dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Night is
nice
gonna
count.
also blocking the path that drones will pretty much have to go around. A lot of drones were getting picked up. More additional tank was coming.
Okay, lurkers set up, but it's just not enough, and Action taps out. And was that a 5th victory for Sharp? Did he just take the series with that game?
Yeah, I think that's 5-3 by now.
I also think that that was a Game 5 victory for Sharp, so congratulations to him. He takes the series, but we still got 1 game left, guys. Trying to think about what is the last remaining map.
One last remaining map. What are the maps have we not have seen yet?
Oh, Ascension.
Ascension. Ascension. A lot of I know people out there like casual Terran players do not like to play on Ascension because the terrain is just much difficult for Terran to move out. Like there are so many narrow paths that Mutalists can abuse, and your army just gets stuck and it doesn't move. Like how Artosis was always saying on his stream, like his units get stuck and he can't really move out.
Yeah, well, as we've mentioned before, it's like Blue Storm. I still think it's like Tau Cross. There's so many things about it that make it unique compared to other maps. And we've seen in the ASL there's been a variety of builds too. So with that said, let's get into the final game of the day, guys. Sharp has already won it 5-3, but let's see if Action can bring it back to 5-4. Okay, in the bottom left, we have our Terran. It is Sharp, and maybe the first time in a long time I've seen a Zerg not get top middle. We've got Action in the bottom right. And yeah, this being in the map pool, you know, a lot of players are having a rough time because ASL, we've seen so many builds. Like just the other day, we saw Soma go for Hydra, or was it Hydra Lurker drop comboed with Mutas. And
Oh
it looked like
yes.
he was going to kill the Terran with that move. Yet Terran somehow managed to salvage the game. There's so many viable builds on this map.
That is right, and luckily, Sharp should be happy once he scouts that Action is not located at the 12 o'clock site, because 12 o'clock site is just insanely good at mining for Zerg. They have like 3 different of mineral mining boost, and they can literally put down the hatchery like 12 hatchery 5 seconds earlier, and spawning pool is faster. His lair tech is a little bit faster than the usual, and just pretty much all those speeding up those tech triggers Sharp. Not gonna have those missile turret on time, but luckily Action is not there.
Yeah, that is a lucky scenario for him. Now, I'm trying to think. I actually think turret placement at bottom left is pretty decent for Terran, but maybe not. We have to remember that there is water over the bottom side of that, over that side of the map, so the bottom left corner of the net is a little bit exposed. But there's the 12 hatch. Gonna have... Okay, we've got an additional drone coming out this time, so this time around Action wants to get a little bit more econ. Uh-oh. Could this possibly be a third hatch somewhere? No.
I'm not sure by Action. If I try to remember what just happened, how Action was playing from the last season, ASL season 11. Remember, Speed was going for 1 base 2 port raid versus no pool 3 hatchery, and Action was doing that at this scenario of a 5 o'clock spawning location, and I think we might gonna be seeing Action gonna go for 3 hatch build order.
It's at another base!
Oh, it's at another base!
Holy smokes. Okay, I mean, I've seen 3 hatch a lot, but I've never seen it at another base. Okay, well, this is interesting. And we've got actually a factory opener from Sharp.
I think this is good for Sharp because I mean, there are like 2 different locations for action to defend from those vulture harassment. Okay, the natural will be secured with the sunken colony on time, but the third hatchery, I'm not. Maybe he might have enough time to put those creep colony on time. The hatchery is already halfway done because he has gone for the third hatchery before pull. And now we get to see Sharp has been scouting, but he didn't get to see there's no third hatchery at the main base of Action Space. He was trying to confirm there's any additional hatchery at the 3 o'clock stop, but he doesn't get to see it. This is a factory expand by Sharp.
Actually, I think this is pretty much the dream opener for Action versus this particular build, because I think that actually a sunken colony could get up before the vulture gets across the map to top left. And the hatchery has completed. Vulture's still not out.
I'm also looking carefully of Sharp's Vesping gas count. I mean, he has been mining the gas for a long time, and he has been saving up those gas for something. Okay, he will be adding the machine shop. I thought he might be going for factory expansion into 2-port Wraith, where sometimes you can actually do it against Zerg when Zerg is doing 3 hatch play style. But I guess he's not interested of going for 2-port Wraith. He'll just put a single vulture at the 12 o'clock side and hide at the mineral line.
Okay, well, that's annoying. I was not expecting the sunken not be able to range the vulture there while it sits in the mineral line. So actually, this is not exactly the dream opener for Action. But behind this, we've got Spire coming down. First Wraith is in production.
Ooh. So I guess Vulture was about to get picked up by maybe more Zerglings being morphed. So I guess Sharp will just move that Vulture to the right side and run away from the Sunken Colony range. And I guess this is most likely going to be a 1-1-1 follow-up, where Sharp doesn't really play 1-1-1 when we watch his stream or his offline tournament matches. But I guess he is going to be going for a 1-1-1 build because it's a 3 hatch, and he also started with the factory expand anyways.
Well, here comes that Wraith. Spire not done yet. Mines being set up, so that's going to be pretty nice. It's going to give him vision all over the map. He'll be able to see what angle mutas are coming from if they end up walking over those mines. And that Spire is not even close to being finished, so this Wraith may actually get multiple Overlord kills. You can see that he's looking for them. I mean, they're just all at bottom right. If he had found these, he would literally kill all 5 of them.
Yeah, he could have killed all of the Overlord, but he's trying his best to find the Overlord, but I guess he will find the Overlord maybe, but I find that a little too late here. Maybe he'll pick up 1 or 2, but the Spire attack is already done. Scourge should be out on the way, and the Vessel is on the way as well. I thought he would be going for the Vulture drop, but I guess not.
Yeah, Vulture drop could have been a nice follow-up. The second Overlord should have gotten popped. +1 armor already coming in for Action. That's a pretty interesting follow-up. I guess he's expecting to get another upgrade advantage over the Marines, and then go into a nice timing in mid to late game.
This is interesting how Action decided to go for kind of like not interested of going for super fast second gas. When we look at his second gas, he only mined 150 so far. So he put down that second gas really late, that he had more of a mineral income, and he pretty much rushed for those upgrade. And good thing for Sharp is also going for the +1 attack on the way, but that +1 armor is really, really fast, what I'm seeing, and he's already putting on the 4th hatchery. This is gross.
This is gross. I mean,
what can you do as
okay,
Terran?
yeah. If Terran hadn't gone for a Vulture opener, I mean, Terran would have literally just walked across and killed this third base, right? But that may have triggered like an all-in from Zerg. I feel like Action got so lucky that this was the Vulture opener. And what I'm hoping is that a lot of people don't see this, because if they do, you know, people on ladder are going to try this. Really, I've never seen a Zerg player be this greedy build an on location third base. Never. And I've played versus 3 hatch quite a bit. But this is another reason that why I love seeing players take the natural is because he's got the 4th base already.
Yeah, 4th base is already. He already have the 2nd evolution chamber already, and the macro hash rate. How many middles does he have? Only 3, maybe.
That's it.
That's all he has. Okay, maybe he's just trying to use this 3 mira with the 2 scourge to snipe 1 vessel or so. But I guess he will spot that spider. He should be able to see it. Sharp needs to be paying attention. He did use the irradiate on time, so that's a nice one.
Man, this feels so risky because remember we saw the lemon game and Sharp had a really sick timing, and it just feels like Action's response was, you know what? Your timing was so fast, here's my answer. I'm gonna power even harder. Like, if you look at what Action has, he has nothing. He has 2 mutas and Sunkens, that's it. And there's the Greater Spire, but you have to actually have mutas be able to use this, so I don't know if this is even gonna come into play.
Yeah, that Greater Spire is on the way. What was it? Game on Eclipse where you were saying about like Action could have gone for the Guardian to a couple of Guardians to defend, but he didn't go for the Guardian, and his high tech was a little late with the Ultra's follower was a little late. But now this massive Sunken. Okay, I just heard the Science Fest getting popped from the top side, so now Sharp does have 2 C-Strings to bust his Sunken colony, but Greater Spire is about to be done momentarily. And gonna be start morphing those 4 Guardian.
Yep, so I guess we'll find out whether my theory can work. I know a lot of people love to theory craft. Okay, in this scenario, can such and such actually work? Well, we're about to find out. Can Guardians delay long enough to get Action into Ultralisk in the mid and late game? Sunkens are falling quite quickly, but because he lost both of his vessels, he's gonna really have not a lot of answer to these even just 4 Guardians.
Yeah, right now what we're seeing from Action is making some scourges too. He wants to. Okay, maybe he'll just snipe the Sea Tank.
Yeah.
That's an interesting move.
It's another thing you can do. I mean, you really just have to kill the tanks, but this is a decent amount of Marines left over. Tanks are trying to support and deal with these Sunkens, but it looks like they're a little bit out of range. Vessel falls, and Guardians comboed with the Sunkens end up pushing back the Marine and Medic.
Yeah, those Guardians were doing excellent job picking up 2 Sea Tanks so far. For some reason, Action made it an additional Murderless. Maybe he was having too much of a pressure. Maybe he probably thought that he needed to make a Murderless to support for the fight and defending. And more Guardians being morphed at the 12 o'clock side, and now everything is so secured. +2 armor is on the way, and let's see. +2 is faster, I'll say.
+2 is faster for Terran, so that's a good sign for Sharp. You never ever want to be behind in the upgrades versus Crazy Zerg. It just lets Zerg get away with powering. Ooh, we actually have mines coming in, so I guess there could be potential for mass mines being placed or a mech switch, but not likely since we have +2 coming in. And Sharp is moving to the top side now to see if he can deal some damage there.
And that was those both of the Guardians at the 12 o'clock side and the natural, pretty much defending every single locations. And what can Sharp actually do? Okay, here's a full, okay, not full loaded, but 5 Marines with a single medic will be going inside of Action's main base, and Action needs to be reacting. He does have the 3 Guardians to defend.
Yeah, pretty good drop, and we do have tanks pushing the natural. And I was going to say that these Guardians, if they just hug the Sunkens or look over or fight from the water, the Marines could never engage them. But as played, he's just going to, wow, a huge Guardian morph right in his face. As played, he's just going to end up fighting them straight up. And still, the Marines and tanks can't get through.
Oh, look at that. Those Sea Tanks are pretty much shitting from the high ground and picking. He did pick up one of the Evolution Chamber, but he didn't get that Evolution Chamber that was upgrading the +2 armor. And we get to see Action did get the +1 melee, so that's a good sign. And once again, somehow that drop was unloaded at the 12 o'clock side here once again.
Yeah, drop did not do a lot of damage. I remember you talking about on Lemon, Spire getting potentially picked off by a tank push. We didn't see that happen, but similar scenario, the Evolution Chamber way too far forward. Why was it placed there? It didn't help with SimCity at all, and it does backfire. Luckily for Action, as you mentioned, it was not +2 armor, because if it was +2 armor, we could have had a game where Terran's at +3 before Zerg is even at +2. So a bit of luck on Action's side there. But you can see his drone count still at 56. He's ahead in supply, crushing it. But now that it's gotten to mid and late game, I don't know about this Masked Guardian choice.
Yeah, I think Action is just pretty much having some amount of a Guardian count for defending, but I guess I'm not sure why Action is actually moving out. Is he ready for the bust now? He does have the +4 armor. Maybe the Guardian Ultralist might be
Oh my god.
very strong, but I'm not sure.
I don't want to ever hear that sentence again. The Guardian Ultra push. Like, the Ultras are already unkillable, then you have air units that are also unkillable. But here it comes. Let's see if the goal... Okay, wow, those Ultras instantly pop from those tanks. And unfortunately, Guardian Ultra, I guess that's not the move.
Yeah, the Guardian Ultra is pretty darn expensive. I guess the Guardian Hydra is more efficient than Guardian Ultralist. There's also another combo. There's also Ultralist with Lurker. That's also disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, you know how Zerg players are usually stacking all those 4 or 5 Lurkers into one, and also covering that Lurkers with a single Overlord, and once they start having those massive amounts of Ultralists, they just unburrow every single Ultralist, every single Lurkers, and just move out together, Ultra, Lurker together.
Yeah, it is absolutely disgusting. And we do have Action thinking about taking a 5th base. Remember, his econ is bonkers, but Sharp's econ is pretty good too. He's at 3 bases, but now this is where Action's true skill comes into play. He's starting to attack bottom middle at the same time while also trying to defend top left, but actually not a lot of defense. And thinking about it, I haven't seen a Defiler Mound anywhere. How does he actually engage this? Well, I don't know, because Sharp's just going to bring it to him. Guardians in the center of the map, they're completely out of position, and now he might actually lose both of these evolution chambers.
Yeah,
there's a drop too.
Yeah, there's also drop at the main base here. So that was pretty much a base trade going on, and 3rd base is, I guess, pretty much saved because Sharp just pretty much had to lift up the command center, and now this Guardian randomly getting, okay, not losing all those Guardian, but the Guardian count is slowly getting low and low. Trying to abuse this terrain, but one of the last remaining Guardian, I don't think it's not going to be doing too much damage.
Ooh, the Guardian is trying to save the day. It's racking up kills, but in the end, it ends up falling too. And Sharp, he's multitasking like a madman, saving his 3rd base while also killing the 3rd base and dropping the main, really bringing it to Action. But if you look at the supplies, it's still 130 to 120. Main is mined out for Sharp. He needs to get another base, but at the same time, Action is desperately trying to set up defense at his 4th base.
You can get to see Sharp just now finish that +3 upgrade on the +3 finish, so we can get to see Action is 1 upgrade behind compared to Sharp. So this is gonna help Sharps to survive a little longer and do some great amount of damage to the Ultralists, but damn, this is so many Ultralists right now. We're seeing that all of the Marinas you think is now gets picked up. 3 vessels trying to evacuate, but now about to get taken down by those 4 Scourges.
Yep, 2 of the vessels fall. Okay, triple macro hatch coming in for Action. Even and then it's hatchery, man. He's double expanding while also building 3 macro hatches. And there's the Defiler Mound that I was waiting to see. Now, those Ultras are behind in upgrades. They're also dangerously low because even though the Marines and tanks got wiped out at top middle, they did dish out a lot of damage. So those Ultras do need to be careful. Also, mines coming into play, so now they really need to be careful.
Not a lot of Terran players do this kind of a playstyle. Like, you're playing SK Terran plus also making the vulture speed and putting those spider mines in the middle of the map and try to buy some time. Only Sharp does this. No other Terran like Sock, Rush, Light, Royal, JYJ, none of them do this strategy, but only Sharp. And I guess let's see how the speed vulture with the spider mines will buy some time in the middle of the map. They will. Okay, that's another hatchery, so that's already triple expansions has been gonna be taken.
Okay, we're gonna have a big engagement in the center, and that's a lot of ultras, but there's no defiler. And in theory, mines are good versus ultras. I actually really like them a lot, but I have problems laying mines even versus Protoss, where Terran's defending a lot. I can't imagine trying to multitask so much that you're attacking and laying mines at the same time versus Zerg. So that's probably why you don't see it that often. But if they connect, I mean, that's 100, 125 damage instantly. This base is going to be denied, and that Nidus has not connected, I guess.
And now the Nidus Canal has been connected. The defiler, there is a defiler, but maybe the consume upgrade is not done. Also like 99% done, but the hatchery will be taken down. This another hatchery should be also being taken down once Sharp goes up. And when we look at the worker count, look at Action's worker count, 64, 63. Maybe some drones are getting picked up. Okay, so some drones got picked up, but this is just way too many drones right now I'm seeing. So once those expansion gets secured for Action, he's just gonna have those macro power from those massive amount of hatcheries here and there. But here's another counter attack going on by Action with 4 Ultras, with okay 5 Zerglings with maybe 2 drones for some reason.
Well, that's he's gonna deny that base by building a hatchery there. And remember, back on the Good Night game, like 6 Lings denied bottom right forever. So maybe a single hatchery will deny this base. But we see that a huge attack is happening at the top middle. Not that many fire bats left over, so these couple Lings are actually going to stall this attack quite a bit. I noticed that Plague was not done just yet, but it should be completing pretty soon. Yeah, it's halfway done.
I'm looking at carefully of the upgrade advantage for Sharp and how late or fast. Okay, now the upgrade is gonna be matched up to Sharp's army, and this Zergling and Ultraless is gonna start becoming scary, more scary than before. Okay, there are 4 Ultraless who are hiding at the top side, and now this expansion is slowly getting secured. 60 drone worker count versus 52 by Sharp, and Sharp, I don't know, Sharp is not even looking at this 5 o'clock expansion anymore. I mean, there's a hatchery being morphed once. If Action connects the Nidus Canal to the 5 o'clock, it's just gonna be immediately teleporting all those army to the bottom right, and Sharp is gonna be so vulnerable defending his 3rd expansion.
Yeah, and you have to remember, Sharp's main and natural is basically mined out, so he's on 1 base mining. He needs to kill this bottom right base. Okay, now he finds it, but the hatchery actually completes, so he can't even land his command center for a long time. But that vessel count was pretty darn high. You see, look at that, Action was even thinking about building another hatchery there. Not going to, but he was going to.
And now Action is getting all those gas access. 4 gas right now, and he's gonna have another gas will be taken at the 12 o'clock nat. But now this massive amount of Ultraless constantly getting irradiated. Nice one. Okay, nice one. Plague and Darkstorm at the same time.
Huge Plague hits so many of the Marines and medics, and that will allow Action to save this base. But you can see that he's also taken top left at the same time, so he's gonna have 5 bases pretty soon. Meanwhile, Sharp has still not landed that command center at bottom right, but he's up in supply 160 to 130. But he needs to really get that up and running.
Yeah, for some reason, Sharp is building an armory and also command center at the main base, but I do not get to see any of a physics lab nor adding more factories over here. But this number of a Marine Force, without Matic, it's just gonna be completely weak. I mean, +2 melee upgrade is already done for Action, and that's just gonna do 26 damage per attack. Like every single attack like does 26 damage to the Marine, and he does have +3 armor. But still, just those 2-shotting all those single Marine each. And now this massive amount of drone. Look at that, 76 workers versus 51.
Jeez. Well, one big problem for Action right now, other than having way too many drones, is this vessel count really has not been taken down almost all game. I think that's like 6. Yeah, 6 right now. And the Marine count is huge. Actually, he has more than that. He has 8 because he's got a couple vessels at bottom right. Command center is done, so he's going to be taking his 5th base pretty soon. And more vultures are being pumped out to lay mines everywhere.
So that's an interesting physics level right now. I'm seeing, I guess Sharp was desperate to go for the battle cruiser switch. He was not able to find the science facilities, but he somehow found out the science facility was at the center of the map, so he will immediately go for the physics lab. The two battle cruisers should be starting to be produced momentarily, and the single Ultralist is still buying some time, and irradiated Ultralist will die super fast here. The leftover is just completely deserving. Okay, Defiler does teleport to this side using one nice Dark Swarm. Look at that! Oh my god, single Dark Swarm just immediately bought a lot of time here, and not much of a Marine Force left over here.
But there's fire bats with that army, and there's just not a lot of high-tech units for action anymore. Look at him, he's gas-starved. He's finally gotten his gas running at mid-right and top left, but it needs to kick in because Terran just has so much stuff. And remember, 20 more supply in workers means that it's just that much less in the army for Zerg. Meanwhile, those drones aren't even mining. Okay, now he's going to send them, but action, he needs something other than pure Ling.
Yeah, maybe he needs to hit some nice plague on the science vessel, but okay, he did use this nice plague on the science vessel, but he hasn't taken down. Once those vessels gets repaired by the a lot of SCV, maybe a single SCV, but they can be just recycled. They will have a lot of energy. Oh, okay, so action will be immediately pick that off, like taking down those physics life. He should be knowing battle cruisers are on the way. Oh my god, so that's 3 battle cruisers on the way for Sharp, and he hasn't saturated this fifth base yet.
Yeah, but once he does, it's going to be a big influx of cash for him. Meanwhile, speaking of influx of cash, all of a sudden action is up to 6 bases now. He's going to be taking a 7th. And the VCs, that's 18 supply that are locked up in starports that are not out on the map. And finally, I hear a couple vessels die. But still, the army comp for action right now just doesn't seem... Okay, there we go. There's a few ultras. But where's the Defiler?
Yeah, I don't see the Defiler. But here's the Defiler going for the backstab to the... Okay, maybe the base trade. Giving up...
Oh!
Ooh.
Well, that's a great...
Yeah, that's a nice plague. And also going for the counterattack here. Oh, this is gonna hurt Sharp a lot.
Great plague at top right. I thought that army was unstoppable, and meanwhile the counterattack at bottom right. Sharp, I think, is just all over the place and doesn't have like a concentrated enough army to break anything. Now this is where action shines, really. He's got all the econ, he's got all the bases, he's starting to backstab. He's got Defilers, Ultras, and Lings, and he already has the upgrades. I think slowly but surely action's going to turn this game in his favor, and in fact he already has because he's up 30 supply now.
And now those Ultralists will be just everywhere, and single Ultralist can just buy a lot of time. Like as Terran, you gotta bring at least more than a group of Marine in order to stop a single Ultralist. And if there are 2 Ultralists, they're just way too strong. They're just way too tanky. 5th expansion is also lifted. And now Sharp is pretty much starving with the resource. He can't really macro here. Wow.
Well, that was, to me, unexpected. I'd have to rewatch that game because it looked like Sharp was in the driver's seat. But in the end, action somehow, some way, ends up taking that game, expanding all over the map. His unit comp didn't even look that strong, but he ends up getting the victory. Nicely done. So even though Sharp is the winner today, score was as close as it gets at 5-4.
Yeah, I didn't expect this game is gonna be so intense and how crazy it could have been when you're playing crazy Zerg. Whenever you're going for 3 hatchery without a spawning pool, taking another expansion 3 base playstyle, and I think it's just kind of like build order strategy mining game by these 2 players where I guess Sharp wanted to play for those factory expand into like 1-1-1 type of strategy, but Action was going for super greedy expansion. I mean, he's just pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, also we have to remember that Sharp had already won the series, so maybe Action wanted to try something super crazy, and that was definitely something else. I've never seen it, and hopefully I don't see it again because that looked like a nightmare to deal with. Maybe open with tech. Where do you think it went wrong for Sharp in that game? Because I thought he had it.
if I remember correctly, he had that third expansion super fast. Like he wasn't squeezing all of his resource for with two base like heavy macro play. He was pretty much taking that third expansion really fast, like with only 4 racks with a single starport. But I think where the moment where he was sending all those vulture out on the map and not doing so much of a job, maybe just put some Spider-Mans here and there, but they're just buying some time but not doing much of a job, like doing the damage to Ultralisk or Zergling, because Action wasn't really thinking of making Zergling in that game. And if he had that money to make those massive amounts of vultures out on the map, maybe he could have gone for the battle cruisers maybe a couple minutes faster than how he was getting in the mid game.
Yeah, I also was thinking that we were lacking battle cruisers for a long time. And unfortunately, not sure if it cost him the game, but ended up being Action's victory. So I'm sure Sharp will think about that next time he gets into a scenario like that. But that is going to be the end of our event today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. What a thrilling series to see. Clutch play from Sharp and some of them, also clutch play from Action, especially in the last game. Remember, we've still got one more Ultimate Battle event coming up. It's going to be next week, same time and place. This time around, it's going to be Best versus Rush. So a Terran versus Protoss. That should be exciting. I think it's our first and only Terran versus Protoss. Yeah, it is our first and only Terran versus Protoss. So if you want to see some TVP action, make sure you tune in next Sunday. And I think that's going to wrap us up. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.